And I'm going downtown.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this meeting started. I call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Roll call and verification of quorum. Chair Gaudio.
Luke Paul.
Present.
Anna Reed.
Present.
Olivia Smith.
Present.
Gabriel Casimiro.
Present.
Eric Callis.
Present.
Issa Ariza.
Present.
James Kapanos.
Present.
JC Lim. P. Son. Sahasra Sadvika.
Present.
Chow.
Present.
Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danae Smith.
Present.
Ali.
Present.
D.
Present.
Malik. Oruela.
Present.
Hamid.
Present.
Kaufman.
Present.
Lucht.
Present.
Metellus.
Present.
McNulty. Workasa.
Present.
Rose.
Present.
Rudy.
Present.
Trey Hernandez. El Harak. Terry Fawcett. Riggett. I am here. Kushi Chauhan. Bobby Escobar.
Present.
Macaria.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Wanjan. Hassanein.
Present.
Phillips.
Present.
Green. Wynn.
Present.
Bonaventure. Perez.
Present.
Alcuda.
Present.
Benash. Candeloro. Courts.
Present.
Jones. Leon. Matthews.
Present.
McRae.
Present.
Nursa Medevra.
Present.
Renda.
Present.
Connolly.
Present.
Simmons. Teodorescu.
Present.
Varela.
Present.
Zivin.
Present.
Lipner.
Present.
44 out of 58.
Wanjan.
Present and voting.
Senator Wanjan, present voting to a noted at 7:03 p.m. Everyone take a look at last meeting's minutes, and is there a motion to approve last meeting's minutes? And then everyone take a look at today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda? All right, open forum. Anybody here to speak in open forum? Seeing none. Announcements from the student body president. President Blanco. Okay, any questions for the student body president? Seeing none, thank you. And then again, please make sure to lower your computer screens while announcements are happening, or if anybody's at the podium. Announcements from the student body vice president Benitez.
Yeah. Good evening, Senate. I hope everyone enjoyed the cold weather this morning. It felt amazing. Last Friday, we had Dr. Frame come and do a collaborative workshop called True Colors with our cabinet to highlight all our work ethics and how to move proactively as a team. I also had the opportunity yesterday to be the exec coordinator for SGLC as the chief of staff Pearson was out of town. Going forward, next Thursday, our athletics coordinator Jones will be hosting the first ever frost warning event that was on his initiatives whenever he was being confirmed. The start time will be at 6 p.m. There will be attractions, a live DJ, a free t-shirt giveaway, and then a drone show to conclude the night at 8:45. Excited to see this new SG tradition form. And other than that, I hope everyone has a fun and safe Halloween for those who celebrate.
Any questions for the student body vice president? Seeing none, thank you. Comptroller's report, Comptroller Drinkwater.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. The Student Government Finance Office is finalizing the audits for this week and will be meeting in the second week of November. The current CRT balance is $237,333.75 with a reversion rate of 0.83%. The current FAO balance is $124,117.27 with a reversion rate of 0.16%. I hope you all have a safe night and weekend. Thank you.
Any questions for the comptroller? Seeing none, thank you. Or are you giving the AG's report? Okay, Attorney General's report given by the comptroller.
Good evening, Senate. I hope everyone is having a great week. I apologize for not being able to attend today's Senate session. Like I said last week, I was out of the office visiting my family in my hometown in South Florida. This week, I worked on finishing the 3 opinion requests, and I plan to send them to your email addresses and put them all up in the office tomorrow once I'm back. Shane and I are making progress with the webmasters on changing how we upload minutes. Tomorrow, I will be meeting with the webmasters to begin setting everything up, so I'll keep you updated on that as well. Please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions or concerns, and have a great weekend.
Any questions that the comptroller can answer? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Announcements from the Chief Justice, Chief Justice Pizarro.
Good evening, Senate. Last Friday, I had a wonderful meeting with Dr. Frame. We discussed some forward-facing judicial outreach initiatives, and she was able to provide me with contacts with some individuals from Student Success and Wellbeing to get started with our collaboration efforts. Today, the Judicial Council had our first administrative decision appeal for the case of Lambda Alpha Epsilon versus ORS. The council voted 12-0 to uphold the decision made by the ORS committee. The memorandum has been posted outside my office, as well as I have linked it in this agenda. You can click on that and see it too. Lastly, lounging with the lawyers will be November 12th at 7 p.m. right here in the Charge On Chamber.
Any questions for the Chief Justice? Senator Leone.
Present voting.
Senator Leone, President voting so noted at 7:08 p.m. Any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the Supervisor of Elections. Supervisor of Elections, Presley.
Thank you. Good evening, Senate. Happy Halloween. I hope everyone has a safe and fun weekend. Tonight, you'll be seeing 2 commissioner candidates, Assistant Supervisor Collazo, the Executive's Division of Administration. Our committee chairs and I were all thoroughly impressed by their applications, interviews, and E&A appointments, and we're looking forward to their confirmations in Senate this evening. Additionally, later on, you'll be seeing Bill 5715, which is sponsored by the Election Commission. Assistant Supervisor Collazo and I are here to answer any and all questions you may have. Our logo for the election season was finalized. 5717, I apologize. Our logo for the election season was finalized. We'll be showcasing it along with our theme at the event. Special thanks to Director Ayup and the rest of the communications team for their hard work. The commission was really impressed and happy with the final outcomes. And then lastly, the prospective presidential and Senate candidates Q&A is Wednesday, November 12th from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Live Oak Ballroom. This event is targeted towards anyone interested in running for candidacy in the 2026 elections. As there is limited space for this event, we recommend RSVPing, which can be found in the Election Commission's Night Connect. And if you have any questions about the event, please email me or our Candidate Affairs Chair, Emily Mello at sgec14@ucf.edu.
Any questions for the Supervisor of Elections? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the ANSF Committee Chair, Chair Kaufman.
All right. There were a few last-minute suggestions from the business office for the budget packet, so they have now been kind of rehauled, and we voted to approve the budget packet, and it passed with a vote of 15-0. All budget packets will be sent out to the ANSF-funded entities tomorrow, along with instructions and other information necessary to complete the packet.
Any questions for the ANSF Committee Chair? Seeing none. Caucus reports, Arab Caucus Chair Alcuda.
Sorry, I'm not used to having my computer down. Hi, everyone. Right now, we're in contact with various organizations to elect ex officio members to gauge how to better serve the community and also just expand our membership. So there will be more to come from me soon. That's it for me. Thank you.
Any questions for the Arab Caucus Chair? Seeing none. Black Caucus Chair, Chair Smith.
Hello, Senate. We did not meet this week because we tabled with the SBA. We meet again next week on November 4th. That's all for me. Thank you.
Any questions for the Black Caucus Chair? Seeing none. ICTC Chair, Verla.
Hello, everybody. We met this week and we discussed some of the concerns we heard during our many events of tabling over the past 2 weeks. We also discussed how to further and better expand some primarily main campus resources and events to our various auxiliary campuses.
Any questions for the ICTC chair? Seeing none. Sustainability Caucus, Chair Lipner.
Hey everyone, this week we helped Coordinator Hendricks with this semester's sustainability fair where the bags were critically endangered and went extinct in less than 1 hour. Coordinator Hendricks and I both agreed that the design needs to be brought back, so please keep an eye out for another opportunity to get a tote bag with a cute raccoon design in the spring semester. Additionally, we have some leftover stickers, so if you want a sticker, come see me at the end of this meeting to get some of those. As caucus leadership chair, we had our caucus leadership meeting this week on Tuesday, and we're very, very successful in deciding how to allocate the money given by Senate, which was to save it for a rainy day fund. That's all for me. Thank you.
Any questions for the Sustainability Caucus Chair? Seeing none. Senator El Harak. Senator El Harak, present and voting, so noted at 7:12 p.m. Any questions for the Sustainability Caucus Chair? Seeing none. Women's Caucus, Chair Renda.
Hi everyone. So last week we had the Women's Health Fair and it was a huge success. I'm really happy with all the students we were able to impact, and a huge thank you to everyone who came. We will be meeting tomorrow at 10:30 in the SG Commerce Room.
Any questions for the Women's Caucus Chair? Seeing none. Announcements from the Senate President. Good evening, everybody. We have a very busy meeting tonight, so make sure to stay engaged as that's the fastest and the most efficient way to get through everything. I ordered another round of polos to account for the new senators that have come in or will come into next year. The mental health fair, which is spearheaded by Chair Todorescu and Senator Matthews, will be November 6th from 11 to 4. And right now, I anticipate the last meeting of this semester to be November 20th. So if that changes, I'll let you know, but I believe that that'll be our last meeting for the semester. Any questions for me? Chair Rolla?
And after the last meeting of the semester, committees, will they still be allowed to meet?
The week after our last meeting is finals week. So I don't believe so. Any other questions for me? Seeing none. ILA report, ILA Rudy.
Hi everyone, just wanted to give a heads up for the caucus leadership that's in the room. We will be having our caucus day for SGLC next week, so dress code is business, and I also sent a message about it in the Teams channel. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Any questions for the ILA? Seeing none. ELA report, ELA Reed.
Hi everyone, sorry I couldn't be with you last week. Thank you all for your patience while I get caught up with all my missing work. I had 2 dean meetings this week with the Honors College and Optics and Photonics today. As a reminder, I am the point of contact for all your graphics and social media needs for Senate. Additionally, I sent out an announcement about makeup headshots, so please take a look at that when you get the chance. Speaking of photos, I'm going to be taking photos today during our general meeting, so act natural. Thank you. And then additionally, if you need to miss your dean meeting for any reason, make sure you email me, the pro temp, and also submit your absence request form.
Any questions for the ELA? Seeing none. Senate President Pro Tempore report, Pro Temp Hamid.
Hi guys. Okay, happy Hallows Eve. So on the 9th of November from 9 to 11, we'll be distributing clothes in downtown Orlando. So if you're interested in coming and helping to distribute those clothes, please let me know. Also, Nights Gift for Good is happening on the 14th, so please come to volunteer. And also, fiscal committees, please fill out the when-to-meets for Fiscal Jeopardy and Fiscal Tabling. Tabling will happen within the next 2 weeks. I'm trying to find a good day for Fiscal Jeopardy, but I don't have enough people who filled it out to make a good decision yet. Also, have a fun and safe Halloween, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Any questions for the Pro Tempore? Seeing none. D-Leg report, D-Leg Kaufman.
All right. If you want legislation to be seen before the end of the semester, make sure to submit it to the Pro Temp's office by 5 p.m. next Wednesday. And also, I wrote a world record 6 fiscal bills in 3 hours today, which is exciting. So if you see you have been assigned a fiscal bill on the agenda, I will be sending you an email tomorrow with more information about that. Today, we'll be seeing 6 fiscal bills, 2 internal bills, and 1 proclamation on first reading, 3 fiscal bills on third reading, and 3 fiscal bills, 3 internal bills, 1 resolution, and 1 proclamation on second reading. And just letting y'all know, I won't be here the next 2 weeks. I will still be updating legislation and trackers after each meeting. I just have increased time commitments for my show coming up.
Any questions for the D-Leg? Seeing none, DSER report, DSER Capinos.
Good evening, Senate. I know we have a lot of business to see tonight, so I'll try to keep it brief. For our IM leagues, unfortunately, flag football has concluded, but we're still going strong with pickleball. Our game did get canceled last game due to weather, but we'll still go strong next week. Soccer and volleyball are now available, so if you guys are interested in that, the links are put in the agenda. You can do soccer, which is 7-on-7 outside, or volleyball, which is 6-on-6 inside. For upcoming events, we have Beach Day. That's going to be this Sunday. I would like for everyone who's planning to go to Beach Day, if you could stay 5 minutes after, just so I can get everyone together and get a mode of communication out there between everyone so that we all know about rides and all the good information about that. And then after Beach Day is going to be our first day for our online bonding. That's going to be our kickoff for the server. There's a communication link in the agenda too to join that. And then our upcoming events on November 6th, that is going to be between 6 and 7. That's going to be when we have our cookie decorating event. So if you want to do cookie decorating, I highly encourage you to go out there. That'll be our Dessert Delights for that week. And then we have a potluck coming up on November 15th. There'll be a sign up coming up for that as well. In terms of RSOs, I have allocated them to the new senators. I just have to get that out to you guys. And then I'm also going to send out a template for their mid-semester check-in, and it'll probably be due within the 3 weeks after I send it, just so we can get that out before the end of winter break. So, yeah.
Any questions for the DSER? Seeing none, fiscal committee reports, CRT committee, Chair Sherman.
Hi, everyone. This week in CRT, we approved allocations 57-276, 280-286, 299 through 301, 303 through 306, 309 through 311, 313 through 315, 317 through 321, and 323 through 334. We postponed allocations 57, 302, 307, 308, 312, 316, and 322, and passed fiscal bills 57, 31, and 32. We decided to reserve 55% of our remaining budget after all pending legislation for allocation specifically, and that is roughly $56,000. And we also voted to no longer accept undergraduate students who are not presenting research to the AIAA SciTech Forum and the Society for Industrial and Organizational Psychology Annual Conference due to a high volume of requests for those conferences.
Any questions for the CRT committee chair, D-Leg Kaufman?
You said you passed fiscal bill 5732. Was that passed or was that postponed?
You're absolutely correct. That was postponed. I'm sorry.
All right, any other questions for the CRT committee chair? Seeing none, FAO committee, Chair Lush.
In our meeting, we postponed allocation 57103 and approved fiscal bill 5733.
Any questions for the FAO committee chair? Seeing none, ORS committee, Chair Rose.
Last Friday, we did one post-funding review and passed internal bill 5718 on first reading. If you're in ORS, make sure to fill out the 2 when-to-meets I posted in the channel.
Any questions for the ORS committee chair? Seeing none. Fiscal legislation, notice of legislation on first reading, fiscal bills 57, 34, and 35 remanded to FAO, fiscal bills 57, 36, and 37 remanded to CRT, fiscal bill 57, 38 remanded to FAO, and fiscal bill 57, 39 remanded to CRT. Notice of legislation on third reading. Is there a motion for speeches, questioning, and debate? ELA Reid.
555.
There's been a motion for a 555 and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we will proceed with the 555. First, we have fiscal bill 5728, funding for American Society of Mechanical Engineers to create a vehicle for the ASME EFX at UCF Engineering 2 on February 5th, 2026. Chair Gaudio, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. So this is another fiscal bill for ASME for a particular competition that they are doing as, I believe, a senior design project. We saw this last week. There are no clear changes, so not much for me to talk about. I yield the remainder of my time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Is there any debate? Chair Gaudio?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion, move to vote. And a second, any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 44 to 0 to 1, Fiscal Bill 5728 passes third reading. Next, we have Fiscal Bill 5729, funding for 24 members of the Financial Management Association to travel to the Finance Leaders Conference in New York City, New York from March 4th, 2026 to March 7th, 2026. Senator Satpika, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
So as all of you guys seen, FMA's president and vice president had came out last week and presented their conference and what they're going to be doing in New York City, whether it's meeting with companies. So I think, again, it's a great opportunity for any student who's interested to sign up and go attend the conference, because it's really helpful for business students in terms of networking and finding great opportunities. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Is there any debate on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 45 to 1 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5729 passes third reading. Next, we have Fiscal Bill 5730, funding for 50 members of the Bachelors of Social Work Student Association to travel to the LEAD conference in Tallahassee, Florida from February 1st, 2026 to February 3rd, 2026. Senator Escobar, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Senate. In this bill is the Bachelors of Social Work Student Association is requesting funding for lodging and travel to the LEAD conference in Tallahassee, Florida. This conference just helps social work students experience advocacy hands-on and learn about policies that impact the clients that they serve. And the total cost is $10,969. It hasn't changed, and we're requesting funding for $5,484.80. I yield my time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Does anybody have any questions about this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Does anybody have any pieces of debate for this bill? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 46 to 0 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5730 passes third reading. Notice of legislation on second reading, Fiscal Bill 5731, funding for 10 members of the Combustion and Laser Diagnostics Society to travel to the ASME Turbo Expo 2026 in Milan, Italy from June 15th, 2026 to June 19th, 2026. D-Leg Kaufman, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I yield to the RSO.
All right, if the RSO wishes to come to the podium. Then
Hello all. Very cold evening today, and happy Halloween to all of you. I'm representing RSO class. We have like around 36 members in our RSO, and we do research which belongs to combustion, then some of the rocket science as well. And in total, we have around 63 students, which includes the undergrad and grads as well. Including that, we have like a lot of projects where we have funding from NASA, DoD, ONR, then Baker Hughes, Siemens, etc. We have this company supported throughout this year. We attend this conference, which is like prestigious conference, ASME Turbo Expo, and it always prestigious at the international level. Why we attend this specific conference is because this is industry-driven conference. This will help every student go from have the good networking with them, and also provide the what is happening in the industry. This kind of stuff will inspire the students to do the great at the experiments and at the simulation level as well. So today, why we are applying for this, why we are requesting this bill is to present our research at the ASME Turbo Expo conference. That will be between June 15th to June 19th of 2026. It will be held in Milan, Italy, for 5 days. And yeah, can you go to next slide, please? Yeah, this is the cost breakdown. So for registration, each author, so we have 10 members in total. Each member will be presenting their own research, and each member have the paper as well. And we got the acceptance recently. Yesterday, we got the acceptance as well for the all papers. We have registration. Each registration costs us $1,255, and I have prepared the tally, which for the hotel and travel, etc., which total cost us around 35,000, and of course with the rules, we are asking around $17,000 for the bill. Yeah. Any questions?
We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Senator Leon?
2 questions, if I may.
You may.
Firstly, what made you guys choose this specific competition? And secondly, is it possible to put more than 2 people in a room?
Yeah, we will do that. We will do that eventually, because though I mentioned the cost of the travel around 1453, this is today, but when we likely to going to book the travel, I'm not sure of the charges. It can go to 1600 or 1700 as well. So that price will compensate with that hotel pricing as well.
And then for your
So
second-
eventually we will have 2 or even 3 members in the same room. We need to do that if the prices are increased for the flights.
and then for your second question?
But yeah, sorry.
Why was it that your organization chose this specific conference?
Oh, because so this is like industry driven conference, and we got like a lot of projects there from for example, we have project which is related to the supercritical CO2, and we happen to have, when we went to London for like in 2022, at that time those guys saw our research and they funded we got the project. That's how like we wanted to go this type of conference. And actually we go it every year. Sometime it's in US and sometimes it's outside the US. So
Right. Are there any other questions for the RSO? Senator El-Harak, and then I'll go Senator Whitmer.
You have determined already who are the 10 members who will be traveling, right?
yes, we have.
And second question, if I may.
You may.
What is the distribution and the percentage between grad students and grad students of your 10 members? Are they all undergrad or all grad? Because you mentioned your organization accepts both grad and undergrad students as members.
Yeah, both are grads. Sorry, all the members are
All
grads.
10 all grad.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And then Senator Lippner?
Will all 10 be presenting research?
Yeah, all 10 have their own papers and they have been accepted. Yeah.
Any other questions for the RSO? Dr. Capinos?
You mentioned in your speech briefly that you had around 36 members. According to this bill, it has 30 active members. Could you just confirm the amount of people that you have active in CLADS?
Oh, in the class or in the RSO?
Both.
Oh, I guess all the students are active in the classes. Yeah. And I guess it should be, the number should be varies between 30 to 36. So that 63 number I counted, those includes the research assistants, then postdocs, then some of the undergrads, because we hire, like professor hires new students like batch wise as the semester comes. So that's why it changes.
Okay. Any other questions for the RSO? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Chair Gaudio.
May I retain?
You may.
We've already approved a different RSO to go to this exact same conference. I ran a quick per capita check. Compared to that other RSO, we're spending a whole $73 more per person. So the costs about line up. With that, I move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 45 to 0, Fiscal Bill 5731 passes second reading. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Right, up next, we have Fiscal Bill 5733, funding for the Ross Rampage to hold the Ross Rampage National Competition Show at Haggerty High School on January 31st, 2026. Senator Satvika, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I yield my time to the RSO.
Okay, if the RSO is present and wishes to come to the podium, you may.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hasani. I am one of the directors for Ross Rampage.
Hi, my name is John V. I'm also one of the directors for Ross Rampage. We do have a third director, Niriam. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. But before we start, we wanted to thank you guys for having us today. We're super grateful. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just a little bit about us. We are a Garba Ross competition that is completely hosted by students here at UCF. Our main aim is to pursue a greater philanthropic mission by using our platform and our events to preserve our South Asian traditions, especially in the Orlando area. We already have a very diverse community here at UCF, but we hope to preserve a new cultural perspective and continue the traditions for the future generations. We also hope to educate the Orlando area about these South Asian traditions by showcasing the talents of an Indian classical dance, Garba Ross. So every year we partner with the philanthropy to help support and promote them throughout the year. This year we chose Ekal Vidyalaya, which translates to one school. Their aim is to transform villages in India by providing education, healthcare, and empowerment. So far, they've helped over 10 million children gain access to education, and they've also supported millions of families with healthcare and livelihoods by making sure that they are self-reliant and independent. They've also transformed education in India by introducing digital learning. We want to help them by volunteering at their events, collecting donation items, and any profit that we make will go straight to them. Next slide, please. So just a couple quick facts about us. We are nationally recognized by the organization Ross All Stars. They are an organization with about 55 active Ross dance teams, as well as 22 competitions that are held nationally across the US. Our competition is going to be held from January 30th and 31st in 2026, but today we're mainly talking about our main show day, which is going to be January 31st. Our anticipated attendance is going to be around 160 competing dancers. This is going to be mainly UCF dance teams, as well as a couple dancers that are going to be coming in from outside. 100 exhibition dancers, as well as 690 audience. The admission is going to be completely free for all UCF students and attendees, but they must present a valid UCF ID when entering. And so, like we mentioned, our competition venue is going to be at Paul J. Haggerty High School. It is about 10 minutes away from campus. Again, like we mentioned, our main competition day is going to be January 31st, 2026. The capacity of this venue is about 850, and we chose this venue especially because of our anticipated number of attendees. Just to go briefly over our schedule for Saturday, in the morning, we're going to start with tech rehearsal so that teams get the opportunity to practice their set on stage. Followed by that, we're going to have pre-show pictures, and then finally our show. So we're going to briefly go over the budget for what we are requesting for. First, we're requesting funding for Fusion Catering Services. We will be catering Indian food for dinner, which will be handed out to UCF students during show. This will be $1,250.75. Second, we have cups, which will be $345.48. This will be handed out to UCF students at our tabling events throughout the year and at our show. Third, we have our show venue, which is Haggerty High School, and that will be $1,695.915. And finally, we are requesting funding for transportation, which will be $875. This transportation will only be used to transport UCF students to and from show venue. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of a breakdown for all the costs that we're asking or requesting through bill.
For our venue itself, we have already paid $479.71 for our initial deposit. We are not requesting this through SG, but our remaining balance for Saturday is going to be $3,391.83. Again, we just had a little bit of a change. We had initially, when we submitted the bill, we had Friday venue costs included in this, but we had that removed, and that is around $388. Yeah, $388.05 less requesting. And then for our transportation, like John, we mentioned, the total cost of the transportation is $1,750. Again, we're going to be using these buses to transport UCF dancers, audience to and from show venue.
Like we mentioned, for food, we are catering Indian food. The total is going to be $2,100, and the delivery for it will be $315. And then finally, for merch, we are ordering cups for UCF students. The total quote is going to be, including screening, is going to be $690.96. Any questions?
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions for the RSO, Chair Barilla?
May I direct this question to the FAO chair?
You may.
Pardon my ignorance, but because this is an FAO bill, can we still fund the transportation to the venue?
Yes.
Any other questions about the bill? Senator Lipner.
Can you clarify how many people are currently in your organization?
Yes. So we currently have around, I want to say 50 to 60 people in our organization.
All right, any other questions for the RSO? Senator Lipner?
Just to clarify, they're active dues paying members because I see 17 here on our bill, and that doesn't seem like it's correct.
Are you looking at Night Connect? Yeah, so they're still in the process of registering with our RSO. We did recently accept a couple of new members, so we will be updating that shortly. But overall, we have around 50 to 60 members.
Vice Chair Trevor Hernandez.
Regarding the transportation, you said how many dancers do you anticipate to be on that bus, and then how many allotted seats do you have extra for UCF students?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the second part of your question?
How many for the transportation from UCF to the venue? How many dancers do you expect to get a seat, and then how many extra seats? But like, do you know like kind of like the size of like how many seats you're allotted for a bus to be taken?
We have about 3 buses that we're going to be using to transport everyone. We've fit around 8 teams, so they have about 20 dancers, I would say, across for each team. So all of them were able to fit in those 3 buses when we've used them previously. So
those buses will also be used to transport UCF attendees.
Yeah.
So we will just be
It's
making
not just-
rounds.
yeah.
Okay, Senator Lipner.
So all of the teams will be transporting themselves to UCF first before being bused by you guys to the high school?
Yes, this will only be for UCF
UCF.
students, though. So only the UCF teams will be transported.
All right, any other questions for the RSO? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this bill? Senator Lipner.
Seems like a great event. I'd be voting in favor, and I urge you all to do the same. Pardon me.
All right, anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Chair Gaudio.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. Hold on just a second. He is pulling up the voting screen. All right, we are now on voting procedures. With a vote count of 44-0 Fiscal Bill 5733 passes second reading. Thank you. Internal Committee reports. ENA Committee Chair Chow.
Good evening, Senate. So today in committee, we continue to work on our rehaul for Title VI. We realized that there were discrepancies between the Title VI copy that I had for the markup and our current UCO statutes for Title VI. Thus, we'll postpone our rehaul temporarily. We also saw an Internal Bill 5717, passed in E&A Committee 7-0-1. Lastly, we saw 2 Senate confirmations in today's committee meeting. Election Commission seat 11, Reyes Deves, confirmed 7-0-1. Election Commission seat number 1, Sydney Rhodes, confirmed 8-0-0.
Any questions for the E&A Committee Chair? Chair Todorescu?
Will the E&A minutes from the past meeting for the confirmees tonight be posted?
Yes.
Any other questions for the E&A Committee Chair? Seeing none. GAP Committee Chair Varela.
Hello, all. GAP is proceeding smoothly. We are up to over 40 bills briefed, which is very exciting. There have been a couple hundred filed in the legislature. So shout out to the committee for being very diligent in their briefing process. We are also monitoring how the lagging government shutdown and the potential dissolution of SNAP benefits will be affecting the student body. We are also monitoring how new Board of Governors policies from the coming Board of Governors meeting will affect UCF students.
Any questions for the GAP Committee Chair? Seeing none. LJR Committee Chair Gaudio.
Good evening, Senate. I'm alive and well this week, having mostly recovered from the flu I had last week. I did, in fact, defeat the wizard. So this week, the committee saw 9 absences, a blanket excuse, and our absence policy revisions. You may look through to see if your absence was approved. We approved the blanket excuse request 8-0-0. Resolution 5709 was approved 8-0-0. In addition, the committee this week saw a recommendation of censure and voted 8-0-0 that the recommendation of censure had merit to be seen by the Student Body Senate. Following our meeting, a memorandum was posted in the Student Government Office in accordance with Title 9. Sorry. If you have any questions regarding the recommendation of censure, please reserve them for when it is on the floor, as there will be designated time for questioning of myself and the committee.
Are there any questions for the LJR Committee Chair? Seeing none. SBA Committee Chair Todorescu.
Hello, Senate. Not much from SBA besides everyone working hard on their initiatives and doing a lot of tabling. Next week is the Mental Health Awareness Fair on Thursday from 11 to 4. SBA will be tabling during this event, but if anyone else wants to help, please send me a message on Teams. Also, Proclamation 5713 was passed on first reading.
Any questions for the SBA Committee Chair? Seeing none. Confirmations will carry on. Senator Gaudio.
I'm pulling up the confirmation materials, and I do not see any materials or minutes for the 3 confirmees that we're seeing today.
All right, E&A Committee.
Sorry, having trouble. My Teams is not having a fun time. We're uploading them very, very shortly once I close Microsoft Teams effectively.
Okay. Does anybody wish to make a motion? Lipner?
Motion to recess for 5 minutes.
There's been a motion to recess for 5 minutes. Second. And a second. Any objections? Seeing none, I hereby adjourn this meeting at 7:44 p.m. to re-adjourn at 7:49 p.m.
Please take your seats.
Okay, I hereby reconvene this meeting at 7:49 p.m. Confirmations will carry on the 555 from previously. First, we have Ray Esteves for Election Commission seat 11. So if you would like to come to the podium.
Does this work? Okay. For my speech, do you mind if I just time on my phone real quick? Okay. Let me know when I have the floor. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank everybody in the Senate for having this wonderful opportunity. I'm so excited to speak here and learn a bit more about how I can make a difference to the UCF community. And really, that one point, making a difference to the UCF community, is why I'm here at the Election Commission. When I started at UCF, I didn't really have much direction. I mean, I was in lead scholars. I wanted to get into law. I wanted to do other things, but I wasn't completely sure on how my voice and the actions that I do could make a difference at a campus as big as this. And I think that's what a lot of other students think. It's a large university, it's a commuter campus, and a lot of people in their heads, they think they just go to classes and then walk out. And yes, you can do that, but there's so much more that you can do as a student, and everyone here knows that, because otherwise, why would you even be in Senate? So I think one of the best ways to let students know that they can make a difference is through elections. The fact that their vote can impact who's on this chamber right now and who's the student body president, who's the student body vice president, and affect all of these issues with funding and things that make the university alive, something that I would want to help manage. And that's why I want to become part of the Election Commission. And as far as I see it, the Election Commission has 3 roles as listed on their website, which is marketing, facilitating, and operating elections. And I'll go through each one of those points and explain why my experiences connect to each of those elements. So to start with marketing elections, I have extensive experience in representing different organizations and marketing for them. The first example of which is being a student ambassador for the College of Sciences, where the entire goal of that organization is to bring up student engagement and to get people active and to show that, hey, there's more that you can do at campus besides just go to classes. And we've done a large amount with that. We've done community engagement events. We had a big trivia night a few weeks ago in Foxtail. A lot of people showed up. It was great. We had that. We've had different events throughout the semester. We've worked a lot with Day of Giving. We've done several events to get people engaged on campus and to get people involved in student life. And additionally, that experience is complemented by the fact that I'm in the President's Leadership Council. And through that, I represent the campus and show that, hey, there is this element of student life that you guys should all get involved in. And then from there, we move on to the part of facilitating elections and making sure that elections are 2 things. They're fair and people are educated about them. And on the fairness part, dealing with violations and dealing with the different rules of Title VI, I've experienced that very closely mirrors the necessities of that position. For 2 years, freshman, sophomore year, I was on my school's mock trial team. Where there, I worked as an attorney and I learned about a large, dense case packet where I had to take note of every single legal principle in there, take note of many court cases, and working within trials, I would have to work it with something called the rules of evidence, where it's that any testimony you make in trial, somebody can object. And when they object, you have to argue with them using the rules to a judge. From there, they make a judgment. That's just like the hearings that I would have to go through as a commissioner. That experience is very much connected. And additionally, I've done 2 internships. Last summer as a legal assistant, where I learned about various parts of the law and learned about how to help my clients' corporations abide by legal regulations. And similarly, I've had to do the same for my current internship at Climate First Bank, where I've had to take corporate documents and make sure that when I was giving out these large companies' loans, that everything was by the proper rules. Of course, this isn't a company, but the fact that I was able to operate with these sets of rules and know how to operate within them is something that's very applicable to the Election Commission and allows us to facilitate elections. And then for operating elections, I've operated with different clubs, like for example, PLC and College of Science Student Ambassadors, where I've had to use many of those skills that would be necessary in setting up those events and making sure that people are aware of the election process. But as well, I'm also vice president of this club called NMDP, known as the National Marrow Donor Program, which is pretty similar to Relay for Life in that we deal with treating cancer patients. But as part of that club, I manage events, I make sure that we show up the tabling, we show up the classrooms, and we do our best to make sure that people can get the treatment they need for cancer. So all in all, I believe that I have the skills to fulfill every major part of being an election commissioner, and I want to be in this position so that I can serve student life as a whole. Thank you.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Gaudio?
3, if I may.
You may.
Could you so I was looking through your proposal and there was an emphasis on such as bribery. Could you define bribery as it appears in Title VI? Doesn't have to be exact, but.
Sure. Bribery is where you use some kind of monetary or otherwise incentive to try and influence somebody's decision-making in the election. I believe bribery within that context is for higher level officials, while if you were to, for example, try to give food or money to somebody who's just voting, that would be a lower offense.
Your second question?
Yes. How many signatures are you required to get on a petition in order to run as a Senate candidate?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the number is around 100.
All right, and then your third question?
What would you do if you believe the Election Commission acts or votes in a way that violates the student body statutes?
If the Election Commission acts in a way which violates the statutes, to my understanding, that would go up to the judicial branch and that would be hearing all of its own. And in that case, I would respect whatever decision the judicial branch makes.
Okay, any other questions for this candidate? Senator Lipner?
How many hours do you expect to dedicate every single week to the Election Commission?
In the fall, I know that I'm going to be doing the weekly general body meeting and I'll be doing, committee meetings. I'm looking to be in the marketing committee, but I also understand that when you go into spring in the Election Commission, within the statutes, it says I have to at least spend 10 hours a week. I know realistically it's going to be significantly more than that, and I'll be ready.
All right, any other questions for this candidate? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Anybody wishing to speak in debate? I'll go Casimiro, Reed, Gaudio.
I'll personally be voting in favor of this candidate because I'm seeing like the speech too. He's really qualified at this position, and I respect that. And the answers that he's given to Chair Gaudio is very, very good.
Reed?
So I have the honor of serving on President's Leadership Council with Ray, and he's one of the hardest working individuals I've ever met. You can't just, sit around and not know anything about UCF to be on PLC. So his character alone tells a lot about him, and his already knowledge coming in and the hard work he's already put in, I think speaks for itself. So I'll be voting yes, and I encourage you all to do the same.
And then Chair Gaudio.
So I will be playing devil's advocate. I will be not voting to confirm this candidate, as I found his answers to my questions between lacking and outright incorrect. For instance, with regards to bribery, I wasn't expecting the exact definition recited off Title VI, but lower and higher level bribery was mentioned. Bribery is a Tier 4 violation in the election statutes. That is the highest level of violation. There is no higher or lower. It's just bribery. In addition, signatures required. That's kind of a small sort of statutory technicality, but you don't require signatures for a Senate ticket. And then what spoke to me the most was the question on if the Election Commission acts or votes in a way that violates the student body statutes, because that's not something that the Judicial Council takes upon themselves. That's something that each individual election commissioner takes upon themselves, be it speaking up in the election commission meetings, recommending censures, or talking to the student body senate to perhaps get certain election commissioners removed from the election commission. And so I find his answers lacking and not showing a reverence for understanding he doesn't know certain things and that he should step back and, I'll read Title VI and truly understand it.
All right, anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Chair Chow?
I will say that as ENA chair, we already have set a precedent where we have had election commissioners join in student government as an introductory role, considering that once again, the election commission does still have a period of time to go ahead and teach the election commissioners the new content in terms of the election period. I would just keep that grace in mind. Not only that, Title VI is an extensive document, and Chair Gaudio did give a trick question in terms of those signatures, because once again, the 100 signatures would apply to the president. I could see how there might be a mix up between Senate versus presidential elections in terms of that information. So I'd just say keep that in mind.
Anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Sapika?
So I've personally worked with Ray in mock trial. I was also a mock trial competing member, and I'm not going to vote in favor just because of that reason, but he's actually a very great person, very helpful, very reliable. Whenever I needed help with whether it was rules of evidence or understanding the legal processes, he was always there. He was a great team member, and he's just a great human being too. And I think in terms of learning, whenever anyone enters a new role, it's always new for everyone. Everyone starts somewhere. So I think he has huge potential to grow and learn and understand the process better too.
Anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Lipner?
May I direct two questions to the individual?
You may.
Thank you. First question, what steps do you plan on taking if appointed to rectify those statutory confusions?
So first of all, I would make sure to attend every single meeting that I have with the commission in order to go over those different violations. And additionally, I'll make sure to spend time on my own to study over and review different parts, quiz myself on different parts of the rules, and make sure that I understand what is what and I don't make those mistakes again.
And second, I told myself I'd ask every single candidate this question. Do you plan on joining any caucuses, and if so, which ones?
Caucuses? To be honest, I'm not completely sure which ones I want to join. The sustainability one sounds good. That's one that I'm somewhat interested in. But aside from that, I would have to look more into it.
Any other pieces of debate? Vice Chair Wonjin?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. With a vote count of 40 to 2, Reyes Steves has been confirmed as Election Commission seat 11.
Thank you, everybody.
All righty, next we have Sydney Rhodes for Election Commission seat 1. If you would like to come to the podium. Then you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sydney Rhodes, and I come before you today requesting your confirmation as an election commissioner. Within my application, I expressed 3 values which brought me here today and which I wish to pursue with a seat in student government. Integrity is fundamental to these values. Whether it be self-accountability or holding others accountable, I wish to empower through moral principles as we make sense of and define the future of the environment we live in and study in. The integrity of elections do not just ensure fairness pursuant to the statutes of Title VI, but contributes towards a pleasant election experience and all further experiences through the leadership of elected officials. My philosophy coursework, most of which concerns ethical considerations, has played a transformative role in my critical thinking abilities. My numerous years of experience in mock trial, some of which a semester was with Ray, and as an intern at a law firm have equipped me with a passion for justice, which I intend to extend to Chapter 6041's Election Code of Ethics and subsequent actions such as violation hearing procedures as part of LPR committee. My second value was creativity. It would be an honor to contribute towards the student government serving one of the most innovative student bodies in the nation. Upon meeting with the supervisor and assistant supervisor of elections, it is evident that the Election Commission is making substantial efforts this year to connect with the student body, promoting a sense of community leading up to the spring elections, which educate and empower students to get engaged with decision-making at UCF. Having studied empathetic design, coordinated tabling as a special projects intern for global perspectives and international initiatives, and engaged with a variety of students and initiatives on campus, I am devoted to contributing towards the pre-existing efforts towards an aware and inclusive environment that reflects the diverse interests of each and every student here at UCF. Reflecting upon my years at UCF, the relationships, whether it be friends, colleagues, or faculty, or the opportunity to engage in high-impact experiences such as a study abroad and internships like GPII, and more recently at an international law firm, UCF has played a transformative role in my professional and personal life. As a student out of state, I couldn't imagine a better reality and future thanks to the efforts of UCF, and I deem it my responsibility to contribute in any capacity I can, ensuring the next and all future students not only get an experience as good as mine, but better as UCF continually strives for excellence. Student leadership is crucial to the growth of students as we blossom into educated students and citizens of society. I am eager to contribute to these ambitions through elections. My last value listed was persistence. Though I lack experience with student government at UCF, I believe I bring a unique perspective and demonstrate my eagerness to learn through advocacy. I imagine it's likely that many candidates are in my shoes. Perhaps they lack prior experience with student government at UCF, thus their inspiration to run for office. That's the beauty of this opportunity. We all must start somewhere. And if UCF has taught me anything, it's that with the right mindset, skills, and determination, we can make an impact. I couldn't be more grateful to come before you and request your confirmation for seat 1 on the Election Commission. Thank you.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions, Chair Gaudio?
2, if I may.
You may.
Can you tell me quickly what governing documents the Election Commission is bound by?
Yes, the Title VI statutes.
And then your second question?
What would you do if during a violation hearing you believe that a statutory definition crucial to the case is unclear or vague?
I believe through deliberation with the other election commissioners, that would be essential. I hope that's not the case because I do believe, with the revisions of Title VI and what it is now, it is pretty clear and well defined as, you expressed earlier. But in any case, as a new applicant and potentially a new commissioner, I would also just be looking forward to the experience to learn and from the guidance of maybe election commissioners that are a little more educated in that sense.
All right, any other questions for this candidate? Senator Escobar.
As an election commissioner, how do you plan on remaining unbiased in your role?
Well, first, other than, maybe a few individuals, I really don't know anyone else running for office. No one has made that clear to me. So from the start, I don't have any biases because I don't know anyone running as of now. But then along the journey, if I do, I don't feel that, it's hypocritical if as election commissioners, we are partisan and then expect, to facilitate fair and just elections. So I think that leadership needs to start in the election commission. We need to demonstrate the example, where we do have fair elections at UCF.
Any other questions for this candidate? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Any pieces of debate on this candidate? Seeing none, Chair Total Rescue.
May I retain?
You may.
I'll be voting in favor of this candidate as I think her speech was very compelling, and I think she was able to answer the questions very well and is eager to learn about the Election Commission. So with that, move to vote.
All right, there's been a motion to move to vote and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 42 to 1, Sydney Rhodes has been confirmed as Election Commission Seat 1. Next, we have Ali Hagenbuch for College of Arts and Humanities Seat 4, if you'd like to come to the podium. And then you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. My name is Ali Hagenbuch. I'm in the College of Arts and Humanities, and I'm a junior here at UCF. I'm really excited for this opportunity to be a part of the Senate, and really am thankful for everyone being here tonight. So as a theater studies student, I'm very involved in my major. I have recently set lighting for Urinetown, and I am very proud of being very involved in that opportunity. I also take pride in just being very involved overall on campus. I am in the Themed Entertainment Association. That is a club for theme park industry, and we meet with professionals and just learn about that industry. And it has given me a lot of opportunities to interact with a lot of different people, and I just really liked being involved in that. I'm also very involved outside of school. I am an attraction cast member at Walt Disney World, and it has just been a really great opportunity to meet with people from different disciplines, learn about interacting with guests as a greeter at the water parks. I learn how to talk to people. I also work in guest relations at the water parks, so just learning how guest flow works really has allowed me to be confident in myself and other people, and just learn how to talk to people. And I think that would be really important, especially being in Senate, just learning how to get people what they want. When people come to us for bills and want money, how do you get them what they want, with also interacting with them and figuring out how we can compromise and figure that out. Also, my initiatives I'm very excited to present to you. I'm very passionate about one of them, which is bringing more study space to the Performing Arts Center. The Performing Arts Center is where the music, theater, and many art students go to work and school every day. This area is very high trafficked, being right next to Garage I. Many people would go there to study or even just hang out. However, there's a lack of study space in this area. I have found that many students just kind of lay on the floor, sit around, which can be a big safety and accessibility hazard. So bringing more tables, study spaces to this area, I think would be really helpful to any students who want to, study between classes and don't want to just sit on a bench. They want a table where they can put their books and draw and really do anything that students would do if they don't want to go all the way to the library. I am very excited about this opportunity, and just being involved with the Senate is very important to me, and I would really like to be in SBA. Just being involved with the students is really impactful, and I would really love that opportunity. So thank you so much for this time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions for this candidate? I will go Todorescu, Lipner, and then Chow.
Seeing as advocacy is a big part of kind of why you're wanting to be confirmed into Senate, what kind of or what caucuses would you be interested in joining?
I'm really interested in the Women's Caucus.
Alrighty, you took my first question, so it's just another one. Do you know the dean of your college?
Unfortunately, I don't, but I'm very eager to look into that more.
And then Chow.
So it sounds like you have a wonderful initiative. I was just curious, how do you plan on facilitating that?
Through work in SBA, I think really bringing more tables, especially to this area. They have some that are set up where it's a little table and 2 chairs attached to it against a wall, which allows for students to walk by this area while still having that seating. I think adding more of those to this area would be very helpful, since it is a very compact space and there isn't room to do a lot. But just looking at the space, planning it all, and seeing what can we add and deliberating with the other senators, I think would be good.
Any other questions for this candidate? Chair Gaudio.
3, if I may, they're all fairly short.
You may.
Can you tell me how many articles are in the student body constitution?
14, I believe.
Your next question.
Do you know how many committees you're allowed to be a part of?
I don't know how many the max is, but I know I do have to be a part of one.
And then your third question.
Can you name the committees of the Senate?
There is SBA, FAO, CRT, LJR, GAP. Did I say CRT? It's 5. That's all I can remember at this moment, but I'll definitely look into all of them.
All right. Any other questions for this candidate? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Anybody wishing to speak in debate? Lipner.
Yeah, this candidate was extremely impressive in E&A and was similarly impressive tonight. I'll be voting in favor, and I urge you all to do the same.
All right. I'll go Rudy and then Zibin.
So I've had the chance to work firsthand with this candidate through the Themed Entertainment Association at UCF. And over the past 3 years, including in design competitions, I've seen how engaged and eager she can be when it comes to really making sure she's an active member and always bringing creativity and collaboration to the table. I think this will be especially useful in SBA, and I think her perspective will be really valuable, especially for the College of Arts and Humanities for Senate. And so I urge you all to vote in favor.
All right. And then Zibin.
Yes, hi, I'll be urging the Senate to vote in favor. This candidate is extremely qualified, and she seems to know what she's talking about, and she seems very excited to learn, very excited to help advocate for the student body, so I'll be voting in favor.
All right, with the reaffirmation, are there any indication? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 43 to 1-0, Ali Hagenbook has been confirmed as College of Arts and Humanities seat 4. Chair Varela.
Motion to move the miscellaneous business.
There has been a motion to move to the miscellaneous business. And a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now in miscellaneous business. First, we have the recommendation of censure. Okay, so first, Chair Varela.
I had a question. Just before we proceed, you were not informed of any extenuating circumstances that prevent the Chief Justice from being here right now, right?
No, but the Chief Justice is right there. Okay, so LJR Chair, you are welcome to present the recommendation of censure as well as the summary.
Alrighty, good evening all. Before us is a recommendation of censure filed by FAO Vice Chair Wanchen against Chief Justice Pizzera, believing that the actions or inactions of the Chief Justice are in disapproval of the student government according to Title V, Chapter 505.5. The recommendation of censure describes that Lambda Alpha Epsilon was seen in the ORS committee for a reversion on March 14th, 2025, where the RSO was sanctioned. The RSO submitted a fiscal appeal to the Chief Justice, who is statutorily supposed to reach out within 3 business days of the submission, should the appeal be determined valid, with a hearing scheduled within 10 business days of the submission. This fiscal appeal had not been scheduled as of the submission of the recommendation of censure, that being October 22nd. The LJR committee reviewed this recommendation of censure at our regularly scheduled October 29th meeting, where the committee found 8-0 unanimously that the recommendation of censure held merit and should be seen on the Senate floor. The justification for the committee's decision lies in that there was a definite breach of the timeline laid out in Chapter 505.5, and that keeping an RSO waiting for fiscal appeal on a sanction for this far out of the timeline is a matter worth being seen by the student body senate. I would like to stress that the committee did not decide that the individual should or should not be censured, only that the censure had merit to be seen by the Senate. This concludes my statement. If the issuing party has any statements they would like to make, they may make them now.
Okay, Vice Chair Wondon.
Hello, Senate. I apologize that much of what I will go over in my speech is reiterated in the recommendation of censure and in what Chair Gadio just stated, but I feel restating it is necessary in order to communicate the timeline I'm sharing here. The situation got its start after the RSO Lambda Alpha Epsilon was sanctioned by ORS at 25% for a full reversion of funds on March 14th, 2025. A couple of weeks later, on April 9th, the RSO submitted a request for a fiscal administrative decision appeal in order to try and have the sanction reduced or removed. According to Title V, the Chief Justice should have reached out to schedule a hearing within 3 business days or by April 14th. This clearly did not occur. Additionally, statutes require the hearing to be scheduled within 10 business days of the initial conduct, which would have also been in April. It is now October 30th, and that hearing just occurred earlier today after being scheduled last Thursday. It is important to note this entire timeline should have been completed under the previous Chief Justice. However, once Chief Justice Pizzera found out about this upon being confirmed on June 12th, she should have worked to immediately schedule the hearing, rather than continuing to leave Lambda Alpha Epsilon in limbo for another 4 months. The fact that this hearing was already 36 business days past its statutory timeline when she became aware of it is not a valid excuse to leave the RSO completely in the dark for months. Further excuses made by the Chief Justice continue to ring hollow. The argument that new justices had not completed orientation and training, while initially seeming reasonable, is worthless at this point in time, given that justices have to complete orientation and training within 30 academic days of their confirmation. We are now far past that point. Additional concerns about a lack of understanding of the non-sanction related judicial opinions that could come from an appeal of a funding related decision are irrelevant to the specific case. As I stated in my documentation, there were 3 different fiscal appeals of ORS sanctions heard in 2022, and ORS sanctions have clearly been changed by the Judicial Council when referring to that precedent. Given the importance of hearing fiscal appeals in a timely manner to ensure RSOs can gain access to funding, previous precedent should have been used to determine how to hold this hearing rather than spending months waiting for the Internal Rules Committee to meet and spending another month writing up rules. This massive delay in the appeals process has certainly negatively impacted Lambda Alpha Epsilon. They've been waiting months for an outcome to their appeal, had follow-up emails about the appeal by both their president and advisor ignored, and admonished for not sending follow-up emails every 3 days once they decided to come into the office to find answers. It is only now, when they have an actively pending FAO request, that the judicial branch has finally found the matter urgent enough to resolve the situation, 6 months after the appeal should have been taken care of. I will additionally remind the Senate body that a notification of censure simply shows condemnation or disapproval of Chief Justice Pizzera's inactions regarding the situation, specifically her disregard for Title V, Chapter 505.5's timeline regarding fiscal administrative decision appeals. As I have not submitted a recommendation of penal action, there will be no actual penalty if the Senate body votes in favor of the censure, as I did not think there were any penal actions that made sense to enact for this. I simply wish for the Senate body to officially condemn this inaction on the part of Chief Justice Pizzera not reaching out to an RSO who requested a fiscal appeal for the 4 months she has held this role until the RSO took the action of requesting FAO funding. As we are all here to represent students and support student organizations, it is necessary that we condemn these absurd delays and make it clear this sort of situation will not be tolerated in the future. Thank you.
Okay, we will now enter a 10-minute individual review. This is review, not a recess. So you guys have until 8:33 to review the relevant documents. I have also linked Title IX, specifically Chapter 909, so you know that how this process works in Senate. So you have 10 minutes. into a period of questioning wherein all members of the LJR committee, as well as the issuer, are open to questions by the Senate. The issuer has the right to refrain from answering any question that they want. You all have access to the Senate minutes, the LJR committee minutes, so you know the names of the committee members. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now go into a period in which the issued has 10 minutes to present a statement refuting the accusations made against them. Okay, Chief Justice Pizarro, you have 10 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, Senate. I'm here before you today to represent my case in the center recommended against me by Vice Chair Wanjin concerning a fiscal administrative decision appeal submitted by Lambda Alpha Epsilon fraternity. On March 14th, 2025, Lambda Alpha Epsilon appeared before the ORS committee and received a 25% sanction, which they decided to appeal by submitting a Night Connect form for a fiscal administrative decision appeal on April 9th, 2025. The case or RSO were never contacted post-submission, as well as the council, including myself, were never notified of the submission by the previous Chief Justice, Daniel Rivera. I got confirmed and sworn in for the office of Chief Justice on June 12th, 2025. Through my transition meeting with the previous Chief Justice, I was made aware of the fiscal appeal submitted on a very superficial level and was not provided any more details by Rivera. That same day, June 12th, I reached out to ORS Chair Rose to get more insights into this matter. Chair Rose was able to provide the ORS meeting agenda of March 14th, which I was able to look at and understand the situation more clearly. Nevertheless, at this point, the Judicial Council had been recently sworn in, had not yet received fiscal, ethical, or branch training or orientations, which prevented me from calling the meeting to order. The other issue I faced was a lack of agreement or legislation describing a fiscal hearing. Although Senator Wanjin points out that there were fiscal hearings by the Judicial Council in 2022, conducted by the general hearing procedures laid out in the JRP, I was uncertain of the possible judicial opinions the council could deem with other fiscal cases that do not concern sanctions, rather fiscal decisions. Senior justices and I started discussing where the line for these decisions should be drawn. If, for example, a student appealed their allocation arguing that they should have received more funds, could the council make the decision to allocate those funds and force the committee to have a rehearing, or would the Judicial Council's decision be viewed more so as of a recommendation to the fiscal committees? This prompted our Internal Rules Committee to begin an internal project of writing the fiscal section for our judicial rules of procedure. Seeing that committees do not meet over the summer, this project only started this fall semester when the justices were back on campus. Nonetheless, feeling the apprehensiveness of the justices with writing the section and answering these questions, I got in contact with the Attorney General Altuna in early September. When briefed on my questions, the AG recommended a meeting between the fiscal leadership of the Senate, myself, and the judicial internal chairs. This meeting took place in early October, after which both my internal chairs felt more confident with writing the section, as well as I understood the council's possibilities when deciding on fiscal cases. Last week, the Internal Rules Committee was meeting to write the fiscal section of the JRP as scheduled, when I got pulled into an FAO meeting on Wednesday. I was briefed that Lambda Alpha Epsilon has requested funding and has not yet received its fiscal hearing. Understanding that the FAO request will be postponed until the hearing is held, I informed the council and the justices met outside of committee time as well as in committee to finish the section and discuss our internal procedures. Last Thursday, I deemed the case with merit, issued an order for a hearing, and summoned both parties to the fiscal hearing, which took place today at 3 p.m. The council voted to uphold the decision of the ORS committee with a vote count of 12-0. I take full responsibility for the extended wait the Lambda Alpha Epsilon fraternity endured, but I would like to remind the committee that this was not done intentionally. By the time I took office, the appeal case had been out of the timeline for 36 business days. When entering office, I swore to uphold the Constitution and statutes of the student government of the University of Central Florida with utmost integrity and accountability. I understand why Senator Wanjin has recommended my censure and applaud her reverence of the statutes. Although this begs the question why the accountability and standards placed upon me were never applied to my predecessor, the person under whose office the appeal went out of timeline. I would like to challenge the statement made by Senator Wanjin within her recommendation of censure, which states, quote, "This blatant disregard for the timeline laid out in Chapter 505.5 has real adverse effects on student organizations, the exact ones that student government is here to support, end quote. To reiterate, the timeline laid out in Chapter 505.5 had already been disregarded by 36 business days prior to the time I took office. Being in the throes of the summer transition, my main priorities were to train, educate, and establish a council that could hear this case with fairness and an understanding of the situation. It would be a disservice to the students of the University of Central Florida and the members of Lambda Alpha Epsilon if the Judicial Council had heard this case without adequate training, as well as without a clear set of procedures, rules, and expectations that would allow the justices to understand and deliberate on the case. I prioritized using this case as an educational moment for the council rather than adhering to a precedent that should serve only as guidance. With that, I failed to see the merit of the censure and how this would impact student organizations, seeing that, as promised to the FAO committee last week, the hearing took place today and the RSO will still be able to request funding at FAO next week. Lastly, I take full responsibility for my office and my council, but not for the actions of my predecessor, and apologize to the students of the RSO for any inconvenience they experienced while waiting for this hearing. I understand how this could have negatively impacted other organizations in the future. With that, I thank you all for your time and the people who have helped me during this process, and I yield the remainder of my time for questioning.
We are now in a period of questioning. Anybody in the Senate may ask the issued a question, but they do have the right to refrain from answering. I will go Chair Varela, Senator Lipner, and then Pro Tem Hamid.
May I ask 3 questions?
Can you ask one and then we'll go around and go back?
No, that's cool. Yeah. During your speech, you said it would be an injustice if this fiscal appeal was heard before your justices were trained / before basically today. Can you elaborate on that statement?
Yes, so I believe it were to be an injustice if the fiscal section were not to be written in the JRP, seeing that it is a specialized type of procedure and a hearing. I understand Senator Wanjin had mentioned that general hearing guidelines have been utilized previously. I believed, seeing that this case was already so out of timeline, we could use that time to write this fiscal section and have this hearing as part of this fiscal procedure.
Senator Lipner.
Thank you, Chair. Do you recall what was done in the last few weeks of last spring in the time when the former Chief Justice had received this request?
I cannot recall anything with this submission. I can quote what the Chief Justice told me on our transition meeting, and it was, "By the way, we have a fiscal appeal, good luck." That was exactly the words that I had received on my transition meeting.
Pro Tem Hamid.
I know in LJR, you said that the RSO was not contacted by the previous Chief Justice and that you did not receive any contact from the RSO at any time between you being sworn in and before you set the meeting or before you contacted them to set the meeting. Do you have any other contact with the RSO to discuss the timeline?
I would like to clarify. I'm not sure if that was caught last meeting. The RSO contacted the chief before submitting their appeal last year. And the chief directed them to our Night Connect, which is how they applied. So there was technically communication, but since their application or their submission, there has been no communication between either the party reaching out to me or myself reaching out to them.
All right, back to you, Chair Varela.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, do you, as a council, have easy access to the previous fiscal administration decisions that were regarding ORS sanctions?
I wouldn't call it easy. Obviously, it is there. The council can go and look at it. It is in our files, but the previous files had been in a Google Drive, and a couple of them were lost when it was transitioned into Teams. It has now been fully uploaded in our precedence files.
And then your third question, if you still have it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, can you, this is for my own ignorance, can you point to a statute within our student body statutes or student body constitution that would require the Judicial Council to have specifically laid out procedures for each individual appeal that they would be hearing?
I'm not familiar with anything like that.
All right, any other questions? Senator Lipner.
Yeah, this is my follow-up to my last one. Sorry if I was unclear, but do you recall if there was any other activities that the Judicial Council was taking in those last few weeks of the spring semester last year?
In last spring, there were already discussions about writing a fiscal section, but at that point, the old council had left. And so that got put on a back burner. That's the only reason, that's the only correlation with anything fiscal.
Are there any other questions? I will
Follow up, if I
go-
may?
You have a follow-up?
Yeah.
You may.
Can you just give a little bit more clarification about what the timeline looked like for when justices left that council?
Yes, I believe the application was posted early May for justices, and interviews took place, I believe, about second week of May.
Follow up again, if I may?
You may, and then this will be the last follow-up.
Completely fine. So justices were in session and ready to serve for the around 2 weeks after the appeal was submitted before you guys left office, correct?
That would be correct. Yes.
Escobar, did you have a question?
Yes. Do you know the date that the RSO was contacted to schedule the hearing? Do you know the date of when the RSO was contacted to schedule the hearing?
It was last Thursday, the 23rd.
All right, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will now go into a period in which the Senate may debate on before going to vote. Chair Gaudio.
So I will be voting in favor of this, of censuring this individual, the Chief Justice, because Chapter 505, the intent to me is very clear. It gives RSOs the right to appeal a sanction given unto them by a fiscal entity, ORS in this case. If the Chief Justice explicitly chose to delay this by several months, a right delayed is a right denied, especially considering we're in the end of October. This is when fiscal bills really start to pick up. We're already more than halfway through our budget, I believe. And RSOs should have speedy, fair resolutions to fiscal matters to ensure they can properly plan their finances for the year. Ignorance is no excuse, nor is the negligence of the previous Chief Justice. As to delay an appeal because it was already delayed is, in my opinion, a non-starter. The timeliness of these matters is important. The solution to a delayed hearing is not to further delay it. The Chief Justice had knowledge of the appeal. That alone is enough to aggressively ensure it is resolved. And I find the reasoning of committees not meeting over the summer completely unconvincing, as there's nothing stopping the committee from having an emergency meeting over the summer, and that's assuming the meeting to be necessary. The comfort of the Judicial Council does not take priority over the RSOs that we are here to serve. And if this section was truly so necessary, surely a previous Judicial Council would have written it, or the Judicial Council would have taken it upon themselves to write the section perhaps ahead of time. So Judicial Council doesn't need to convene a committee to handle this either. Per Rule 1.10 of the Judicial Rules of Procedure, the Chief Justice is able to bring forward proposed amendments to the JRP requiring a simple majority of the council for approval, but this route was not taken. And so
Anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Lipner.
I see both sides of this, but ultimately I'll be voting to not uphold this notification of censure because of the fact that it seems like Chief Justice Becerra was given an impossible situation where justices were meant to be trained, and as a result, timelines would continue to be extended, whereas former Chief Justice Rivera had a very easy decision to contact an appellant within 3 business days and schedule a hearing. So really, I feel like we should be condemning him and not necessarily the current Chief Justice. And for that reason, I'll be voting in negation. Thank you.
All right, anybody else wishing to speak in debate? DSER Capinos, and then I'll go to you, Senator Hagenbuck.
I would like to agree with Senator Lipner. I think that Chief Justice Becerra was put in a terrible spot, and that the actions of the previous Chief Justice should not fall onto her. I agree that I think condemning her would be a disservice because the previous Chief Justice, Rivera, should be the one facing this, even though that he's not in office, because he had that opportunity to do that. And if what she said is true of the 36 days, then I see it only as a negligence of him and not of her. That's what I'll say.
All right, and then Senator Hagenbuck. Can you tell me your last name so I'm not mispronouncing it?
Hagenbuck,
Oh, I've been saying it great. Okay.
present and voting.
Senator Hagenbuck, present and voting, so noted at 8:48 p.m. Senator Benesh.
Present and voting.
Senator Benesh, present and voting, so noted at 8:48 p.m. Chair Varela.
Yeah, I know I will be voting to uphold the censure. Well, I perfectly understand the reasoning that Chief Justice Pizarro was put in a difficult position by her predecessor. That is, of course, true. I do think that there is a sort of vicarious liability that transfers to the office of the Chief Justice. Chief Justice Pizarro was informed of this, even superficially, during the transition. She had many weeks to kind of sort it out, and I think it just kind of reflects a lack of priority to get this appeal sorted out and to kind of get it done. And I agree with Senator Gaudio that a right delayed is right denied. And we're seeing the consequences now. This RSO is getting a fiscal allocation delayed. So there's already been consequences, right? So I think in order to kind of maintain justice and balance, this would just kind of be riding the scales, because there was obviously a harm done to the RSO by this delay. And again, while the Chief Justice was put in a difficult position, that does not mean that it was impossible for her to resolve. And that responsibility does land with the office itself, not the individual person.
All right, anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Hassanein.
Yeah, I just want to add that in the FAO meeting, the RSO brought their advisor, and to me at least, they sounded, put simply, really distressed regarding this sanction and everything. So I can definitely see how an RSO is like really affected by this. So I'm voting to uphold.
Chair Gaudio.
So I would like to add a little bit on more. So as a reminder, the Judicial Council justices serve for 2-year terms. They still had justices left over from the previous term who I would hope had been trained and had knowledge of these procedures. And regardless of if the position they were put in is difficult, it is nonetheless their responsibility to resolve it, not to put it off until the council is in a convenient position to do so. I'd also like to point out that the message for the decision appeal, when it was scheduled, was sent out on October 23rd. This recommendation of censure was filed on October 22nd. For additional context.
All right, anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Lipner.
I do want to provide the context as someone who sat on ENA that there was major turnover in the judicial branch over the past year, where a number of seats that were meant to be 2-year terms ended up having to leave after their first term due to graduation or other personal reasons. We had to fill those seats with new individuals. As a result, there was a need to train them, and I truly believe that Chief Justice Pizarro would have held this meeting had she been able to.
All right, Senator Paul.
I just wanted to say it shouldn't take 3 months for justices to be trained.
Okay, Total Rescue.
May I ask a question to the Chief Justice?
You may.
Were you aware of the notification of censure before you reached out to the RSO?
So as I mentioned, I got pulled into FAO on Wednesday. So that is also the day that I got notified that this RSO had requested funding. Committee was going to meet the next day, past Thursday, already had been scheduled to write that section. So I knew post voting on that section, I would have reached out to the organization no matter what, because we had the section. But I did receive the notification of the censure that Wednesday too.
All right, any other pieces of debate? Senator Rodriguez? You may.
So I wanted to note that within the LJR meeting, she was questioned on the fact of if the Chief Justice was previously aware of this information of not the censure, sorry, it's a long night. was aware about this RSO, and they had talked to Brody previously, and they were aware of the precedent on how to go about this. So I moved to vote with that information.
All right, there's been a motion to vote
Second.
and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 31 to 13 to 2, the notification of censure is upheld. Thank you for being here. I will draft it and have it sent to you by next Thursday. Okay, is there a motion to move back to notice of internal legislation?
So moved.
Okay, notice of legislation on first reading, internal bill 5719, yes, that is right. Internal bill 5719, remanded to CRT, internal bill 5720, remanded to CRT, and proclamation 5714, remanded to SBA. Notice of legislation on second reading, internal bill 5716, updates to title 9, general updates. Chair Chow, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Senate. So this is going to be quite a short speech. Internal Bill 5716 focuses on general revisions and updates to Title IX, updating disciplinary action for the Election Commission. This one's fairly simple. It allows the Election Commission and Election Commission leadership, specifically the Supervisor of Elections, to censure commissioners for their own procedures or non-compliance them. They should be able to refer to the ERP in order to discipline their own members because previously it wasn't on there, and I yield the rest of my time.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Chair Gaudio.
1 second. Sorry. Could you elaborate a little more on the decision to include the rules of procedure specifically in Title IX?
Am I able to defer that to the Assistant Supervisor of Elections?
Is there a motion for a non-committee member to speak, that being Assistant Supervisor of Elections to Collazo?
I object.
Okay, so that motion will not be seen. Do you have an answer for that question?
Yeah, can you go ahead and just reiterate that question one more time for me, please?
Could you elaborate further on why you are seeking to include the election rules of procedure and the judicial rules of procedure under Title IX?
So at least for the judicial rules of procedures, once again, I would refer that back to the Assistant Supervisor of Elections if I could. But in terms of once again, the election rules of procedures, to me, that makes sense because that is the specific procedures that they utilize in order to go ahead and just follow under the election procedures. And then not only that, but follow through with their disciplinary action and their own specific rules. I do know that we specifically worked together and voted on that as a commission or as a committee. For the judicial rules of procedures, I do apologize. I cannot exactly recall. That's exactly why I'm trying to refer it back to the assistant.
All right. Chair Rolla.
2 questions, if I may.
You may.
So to confirm, the ERP is ratified by ENA, correct?
Yes.
Does any Senate entity have a say or ratify the JRP?
I genuinely, I cannot exactly confirm nor deny that question. However, I'd like to actually be educated on that.
All right. Any other questions on this bill? Vice Chair Wonjin?
Can somebody who can answer that question? If somebody has the answer about whether or not the JRP is ratified by Senate?
The answer is no. Senator Lipner?
Can you state any specific items from either the ERP or JRP that you would want or expect a non-compliance to be notified over?
Yeah, I can go ahead and pull up the ERP that we currently have. Let me just go ahead. Give me a second to go ahead and take that. Sorry, this is taking a little bit. My team just.
All right. Do you still have your question, or do you want to redact it?
I do still have my question. I'm curious to hear about both ERP and JRP.
Okay.
So I do know that with the ERP, it does have like their absence policy, which is why they also wanted to implement the ERP into the Title IX statutes. For the JRP, once again, I can't exactly question that or answer that. Excuse.
All right. Any other questions for this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Chair Gaudio.
I move to see my amendments.
There's been a motion to see Chair Gaudio's amendments. And a second, any objections? Seeing none, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. So this amendment seeks to strike the judicial rules of procedure from the notification of noncompliance and censure sections. The reasoning behind this is the Judicial Council is a branch that is intended to be insulated and independent from the other branches of student government. The JRP provides measures by which the council can discipline themselves or hold themselves accountable, including suspension from office. What this bill does is it does not allow the judicial branch to further enforce this, but rather it allows other branches to enforce the internal rules of the council on the council, other branches having a say on the judicial branch's internal procedures. I do not believe that this should be the case. I believe it goes against separation of powers and that the primary method of keeping the judicial branch in check should be via statutes and trusting them to uphold their own integrity and neutrality.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. I'll go to Abrola, Pro Tem Hamid.
2, if I may.
You may.
What motivated, because I agree with the issue here, but what motivated you to choose to strike the JRP from this bill rather than creating a new legislation or a new amendment that would have added some sort of Senate oversight to the JRP?
Because I do not believe there should be Senate oversight over the JRP, because again, I believe that with the separation of powers, the judicial branch should be free to decide their own internal procedures. I do not believe that we should have a say in it.
And your second question.
Yeah, do you know or can you point to where the Judicial Council derives its rulemaking authority for its internal procedures?
The Student Body Constitution, specifically, hang on, I will pull up the exact article. So Article 1.05 outlines that the judicial rules of procedure shall be used and here we go. And 4.03, the duties and powers of the Judicial Council, outlines in accordance with the judicial rules of procedures and student body statutes.
Okay, and then one. Yes. You may.
Yeah, so my question is more like, it has like its authority from the Constitution, but where does the Judicial Council derive its authority to amend its own procedures?
So the judicial rules of procedure outline how they may be amended. So this was brought up earlier, but Rule 1.10 of the judicial rules of procedures outlines how it may be amended. Any justice may propose an amendment before the Internal Rules Committee. The Rules Committee and the Chief Justice are the only entities that may bring a proposed amendment to the full Judicial Council for consideration. It must be approved by the Council and signed by the Senior Student Affairs Officer.
All right, and then Pro Tem Hamid, and just so you know, questioning time has elapsed. Is there a motion?
Motion to extend questioning time by 2 minutes.
There's been a motion to extend questioning time by 2 minutes. And the second, any objections? Seeing none, Pro Tem Hamid, you have the floor.
Would you see my amendments as a technical? You just kept in an extra comma.
Yes.
Alrighty. Any other questions? Senator Lipner and then Chair Chow.
Would you agree that it's important for the Chief Justice and Judicial Council to be able to hold their own justices accountable through the judicial rules of procedure via a noncompliance?
I do not believe it is necessary because the judicial rules of procedure already outlines how they may be held accountable and hold each other accountable.
Chair Chow.
So I do apologize for my memory failing me previously. I do know that the reason why the JRP was introduced specifically in this bill was because there were some concerns on whether or not there may be issues in terms. My memory is failing me again. It's a long night. I don't exactly remember if it was specifically appointments or another specific procedure, but in terms of that, I guess. Here, I'll just resend my question.
Okay. Any other questions for the amendment? Senator Green.
President voting.
Senator Green, President voting. So noted at 9:04 p.m. Any other questions for this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any debate? Chair Varela, Senator Banesh, Vice Chair Wanjan.
So this is a pretty complicated issue for me, to be honest. Chair Gaudio kind of got at an issue that I want to expand more upon, which is the JRP is the only kind of set of rules we have within the whole student government that isn't ratified or have some sort of oversight by the Senate, which is a massive problem because it's the Senate who holds rulemaking authority as designated by the Constitution. The ERP, as was answered earlier by Chair Chow, does have Senate ratification. And just generally in like the philosophy of governance, the reason why rules have authority or the rulemaking authority is because the legislature who holds the votes of the people, empowered by the people, make those rules, right? So technically, rules should be invalidated if they're not at least overseen by some sort of legislative body / the people. So I think just generally we have a small JRP issue, and Chair Gaudio's solution is just to remove it from this bill, which would make it more of a non-issue because then there will be no non-compliance issues. So then JRP would be very internal with like all the issues in it, or like the enforcement principle, because you can't really enforce something that has no true authority from the legislative branch. But I am more in favor of the option I presented to him during questioning, which is just giving Senate some sort of oversight procedure, like the ability to overrule an amendment, something like that. That's not an idea I've thought out clearly yet. But I would say that I would vote against this amendment in expectation of a new bill going forward to kind of give Senate that sort of authority. Because I do think that the JRP should have a rulemaking authority. It should have some sort of authoritative purpose, but it can't truly have that purpose without the Senate's say, because as a legislative body, we give documents the rulemaking authority. So those are my thoughts.
Senator Banesh.
Yeah, I feel like Chair Varela kind of hit the nail on the head. I'm going to be voting in negation of these amendments. I feel like this belongs in the bill. I don't know. That's just my opinion based on how I'm reading it. I don't know. I agree with what Varela said with Senate being a legislative body. Well, I mean, the judicial branch is allowed to have their own governing document, but I feel like we oversee documents and whatnot. So vote in negation.
Vice Chair Wanjan.
I echo, I will also be voting against this amendment. I think it's very important that everyone within student government can hold everyone else accountable to the rules they're expected to follow in their positions. So I think the JRP needs to be included in this, and I don't see any other hands. Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment. With a vote count of 4 to 39 to 3, the amendment fails. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Chair Varela.
May I retain?
You may.
Awesome. Yeah. So now the amendment passed, I just want to reiterate the current issue still with the JRP. That being is an authoritative document that we can knock compliance people over without any sort of authorization or legitimization by a legislative body. So it's basically a piece of rules that the student body has no say over because it is created by people who are unelected, those people being the justices. So hopefully in the near future, either be myself or some other senator who wants to take it upon themselves, we will find some sort of legislative solution to kind of give Senate at least some sort of, oversight. It doesn't have to be anything massive, just something to legitimize the JRP, just to make sure that there is some sort of student body say within that document. Move the vote.
All right, there's been a motion to move to vote. And a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures of the bill as a whole. With a vote count of 37 to 6 to 3, Internal Bill 5716 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5717, updates to Title VI, general updates. Chair Chow, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Senate, once again. So Internal Bill 5717 focuses on general revisions and updates to Title VI. It adds the definition voting period in order to add some more clarity for the readers in terms of the voting period. Not only that, but it refines the formats for the election statutes in order to add additional clarity. So for instance, even though you will see that in 601.1b, that is striked. However, once again, it's going to be changed into F instead. To be eligible for the position of the supervisor of elections, one must be an active commissioner. And once again, it has that information there, just some reformatting. Not only that, but it adds some clarity. Once again, refines the format for the election statutes, implements an interim supervisor of elections, mimicking the statutory language of an interim chief justice in case there is a scenario or situation where there is a vacancy for election commission leadership. Not only that, but it reduces redundancies and language in terms of procedures. And then not only that, but properly designates and readjusts like specific power and language authority for election commission leadership, updates policies and statutes prevalent for Title VI, and overall is an extremely beneficial implementation for Title VI to smoothen the process for the election commission and their election period. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Pro Tem Hamid.
Could you explain why you changed the appointment date instead of it being the last week of summer A to be changed to the first week of June?
Is it possible to defer the question to the Assistant Supervisor of Elections?
Is motion to allow a non-committee member to speak, that being Assistant Supervisor of Elections, Colazo?
I object.
That will not be seen. Back to you.
Well, in terms of the language, okay, let me just go ahead and reanalyze it. Very tired, sorry guys. So in terms of last week of summer A instead of first week of June, I think from what I remember from the mentality or from the conversations about that, it just made more sense specifically for the timeline. It wouldn't readjust anything significant.
All right, any other questions? Chair Gaudio?
So I was going through the bill and I noticed that one of the sections that was impacted was 601.6, which is the ability of the Senate to remove election commission members. Could you explain why that section is being struck out?
Could you go ahead and just reiterate where that is again?
601.6, titled removal of, on the bill it says removal election commission members, but the statute is removal of election commission members.
Okay, wonderful. Let me just go ahead. I think the reason why this may have been the case was because of updates to Title IX. However, I'm perfectly fine with adding that back in. I do apologize for me and my committee for missing that because once again, they would be under our authority technically.
All right, are there any other questions about this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Pro Tem Hamid?
Motion to see my amendments as a block.
There's been a motion to see Pro Tem Hamid's amendments as a block. Any objections? Wait. Okay, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to explain why I made this amendment. I'm changing it from the first week of June to the last week of summer A, which is what it was before. So the last week of summer A, I think, is like the 3rd week of June. So it's just like a 2-week timeline. But with the not recent, but like the change of the way that Senate starts, Senate will start on like the 2nd week of May, well, 2nd or 3rd week of May. And so because of that, this gives like the executive cabinet or the president like 3 weeks to do interviews for EC and then appoint them by at the very last day. This is also when their cabinet is going through like confirmations, and it's a really big time of change. So I feel like with that crunch timeline, and since it was changed like last session, I believe we should keep the original timeline of last week of summer A, just to give us like enough time to be able to make those decisions and for the president to be able to appoint these people.
Okay. We're now in a period of questioning. Chair Barola.
2 if I may.
You may.
Awesome. My first question is, do you believe that having a deadline for the appointment of a certain position poses a threat or infringes on the president's appointment power?
I'm not sure. I'm just trying to follow what was in statutes beforehand.
Your second question?
Yeah. If there, say, isn't a applicant for a seat, would this statute just not take effect? Like there wouldn't be any disciplinary action?
I believe so, because I think that's what has happened ever since this rule was put in.
Alrighty. Vice Chair Wonjin.
If we're changing it back to the last week of summer A, do you think we should shift the end of the term back to the last week of summer A, or do you think leaving it as first makes sense?
I'm open to anything. If the Senate believes that that would be more appropriate, then I'm open for that.
All right. Are there any other questions on this amendment? Vice Chair Wonjin.
May I direct a question to Senator Chow that's related to the question I just asked, but not directly to the current text of the amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a reason that you changed it from from last to first to begin with?
At least it was just more of like smoothing out the timeline in terms of that, specifically for the election commission. So our committee was perfectly fine with that. However, if it does make it like significantly, like if it adds more cohesion to keep it as it was in the past, specifically for like appointments and retaining that process, I can understand. I'm more of a neutral. I understand the amendment or not having the amendment either way.
Okay. There are 30 seconds left in questioning. Senator Lipner.
Motion to extend by 1 minute.
There's been a motion to extend questioning by 1 minute.
Second.
And a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Your question?
May I direct a question to Supervisor of Elections Presley?
Is there a motion for a non-committee member to speak, that being Supervisor of Elections Presley?
I object.
Okay. Technically, and I think I did it wrong the last time, we are now in debate on the motion as a whole. So you are debating on whether or not we should even see the motion to allow a non-committee member to speak. Senator Matthews.
Hi guys, so as a member of ENA, I just want to remind you guys that when we create these bills and these documents, that the Election Commission does sit in and voice their opinions to us. So they do come to Senate to answer these questions. Yes, Chair Chow is the one that wrote this bill, but it is very important that they are able to speak on this because they helped create it for us.
I raise a point of order. Under Senate Rule 7, the objection procedure states that the originator of the objector of the motion, the objector presents the case to accept, the originator presents the case to reject, and then we vote on the objection.
I was on the assumption that since people seconded it and then it got objected, we have to see, we have to debate on seeing the motion as a whole and then vote on that. That's how seconds works, correct?
So a second is just, will the motion be considered? If someone objects to the consideration of the motion, we go under the objection procedure under Senate Rule 7.
Okay, thank you. The originator who made the motion was Senator Lipner, and the objector was you, correct? The objector was Pro Tem Hamid. So, originator, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, essentially what someone.
What did you say?
Objector.
I'm sorry, I raise a point of order. The objector is the one who presents their case first.
Okay, I'm gonna make this really quick. I'm so sorry. I think that since we have not let the assistant supervisor speak during the duration of these two bills, I don't think it makes sense to allow the supervisor to speak now. But I'm also kind of 50-50 on this. I just felt like this was the fair thing to do.
And then Senator Lipner.
We can still go back and ask the assistant supervisor all those questions as well if we want to be fair. But like Senator McRae said, they are a part of ENA and sit in on these meetings. And I think their perspective is valuable on these, considering the fact that it directly affects them.
Okay, we are now in a 2-minute period of debate. You guys have to.
I raise a point of order. The
No,
Senate Rule dictates
we're just voting.
I heard debate.
Vice Chair Wanjin.
704, it's really confusing because the section talks about after presentation of the arguments and the student body senate to debate, the student body senate shall vote, which implies there should be debate time, but there's no written debate time. So.
Yep. We are now in a period of debate unless you guys wish to go to vote. Any debate?
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote.
Second.
Seeing any objections? Seeing none, this will be a simple majority vote. And then 4 will be proceeding to the original motion will be against. And then if you're for, we see the objection. Yes. Yes for the objection, no for the original motion. So the original motion was to allow the supervisor of elections to speak. The objection was to not allow that. Okay, with a vote count of 14 to 29 to 1, we will proceed with the original motion to allow the supervisor of elections to speak. Your question?
Thank you. I would love to hear your thoughts on the change from the last week of summer A to the first week of June, and what things the EC would be doing within that time period that is important.
So originally we adjusted this time period, mostly for me and Assistant Supervisor Collazo. We are graduating, and therefore there would be a couple months where there's no supervisor and assistant supervisor to lead the election commission. And in this time frame, I know on my end there were a few leftover things from the election period that previous supervisor was handling, and since I would no longer be a student here, there would be no one to handle that. However, we did cover this with the interim supervisor, which you can see it's, I want to say 601.3. Additionally, moving this up would allow us more time to prepare. We started, I want to say, the first week of July, which was enough time. However, it did leave us out of a conversation that we were trying to implement ourselves into SGLC a little bit more. And because we did not have an established commission at the time when the coordinator started working, we were unable to be a coordinator. So adjusting this time period would allow a coordinator to be a part of that if, if there's enough interest in the program. That was the initial suggestion. Also allow us to give us more time to get our commissioners adjusted to the program rather than just spending the fall, teaching Title VI. We can spend a little bit more of the summer doing that so then we can get started on a lot of our work in the fall.
All right. Any other questions? Just a reminder, we are on questioning of the amendment made by Pro Tem Fahmy, Chair Barilla.
May I add a question to you, Speaker Courts?
You may.
Generally, how long does it take to get the cabinet and then the assistants/deputies of the Senate confirmed into their roles, and when does that generally happen?
I would not be able to speak for generally, as this is the first year in which the timeline was changed. However, for this year specifically, I believe that it took us up to either 3 weeks or a month to get both the cabinet and our deputies and legislative assistants, and we had to push back a lot. However, I will also note that the bill says appointed, which would be the president's job, not confirmed. So I will point that out as well. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in debate on the motion. Not on the motion, on the amendment. We are now in debate on the motion. Senator Lipner.
Yeah, I'll be voting in negation of this because I believe the first week of June is fitting here, especially considering the fact that this year, the last week of summer A ended on June 26th. So this is literally just a 2-week increase, which I think is very helpful for the EC and would cause very little strain on the executive branch. And so I'll be voting in negation of this.
All right. Any other pieces of debate? Chair Barilla.
I'll be voting in favor of this because, one, it's the original statutes there, and I don't see a truly compelling reason to alter that. Additionally, I do think it would cause general strain for the executive and the legislative branches because in order to stay in compliance with the statute, they may have to fast track election commission appointments, which could displace both cabinet appointments and the confirmations of the deputies and the assistants. And even though this is appointing, not confirming, the whole reason for this change was to get EC commissioners into their seats confirmed so they can do all these things before the last week of June or the end of summer A. And if Senate can't even accommodate them, that's not going to be possible. So I think it would just create unnecessary stress and unnecessary pressure to fastly accommodate the EC commissioners when many other student government positions will not be filled.
All right. Any other pieces of debate? Rodriguez.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. Correct. Okay, with a vote count of 24 to 14 to 5, the amendment is approved by the general body. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Is there any other pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on the bill as a whole. Oh, wait, hold on. Vice Chair Wanjin.
Move to see Senator Gaudio's amendment.
There's been a motion to see Senator Gaudio's amendment. Is there a second? See here, are there any objections? Hearing none, I see them now. Gaudio, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So what this does is it removes the strikeout of section 601.6, which is removal of election commission members, which outlines how the Senate may remove members of the election commission outside of the impeachment and removal process. I believe that this section is necessary, as it is important that election commissioners be able to be held accountable and removed if they are violating their duties. And the problem is elections move fast. And an impeachment proceeding during an election season would take far too long to remove a commissioner before the election ended. So an abbreviated period to remove an election commissioner is important. In addition, the election commission is subject to the student body senate. They're intended as a neutral body to run the elections, but because of the nature of that work, they are held to a very tight standard and are held accountable directly by us. So I do believe that this section is necessary, and with that, I yield.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions, Senator Green?
I'm not quite sure who I would ask about this, but there are two subsections that are 601.6. One was what looks like it was originally 601.4, but the 4 is stricken through and there's a 6 behind it. And there's an entirely separate section that's labeled 601.6.
All right, so do you want to clarify?
So these amendments are regarding the section titled Removal of Election Commission Members, not Duties and Powers of the Election Commissioner. So the old 601.6, if you will.
Yes. Any other questions, Senator Lipner?
Motion to see my amendments fixing those titles as a friendly.
You're seeing them as friendly? Okay, correct. Any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate on these amendments. Is there any debate? Senator Lipner and then Vice Chair Wanjin.
Yeah, I think the reasoning Chair Gaudio mentioned in regards to impeachment taking very long is really compelling, and for that reason, I'll be voting in favor of this amendment.
Vice Chair Wanjin.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures. With a vote count of 40 to 1 to 2, these amendments pass the general body. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Chair Chow, I see your amendment.
Sorry, there is an amendment. I just want to make sure.
There is a strike through on chapter 604D.
604D. That might have been by accident. I'll be honest. Let me see. 604D, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. This 604D in the event of a type of an election, and it's specifically talking about the presidential runoff election.
Yes.
Yeah. So once again, when it comes to presidential elections, yeah, we can go ahead, see it. Sorry, I'm a little bit screaming.
No, you're fine. I understand we're all tired. We're almost done, guys. You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay. Once again, when it comes to the election statutes, we do not have presidential runoffs anymore. We utilize a ranked choice voting system. Just a little bit of an error. We're just removing that section because it's not prevalent anymore.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Vice Chair Wanjin.
This is just a technical thing. Can you fix it so that you're striking it through instead of deleting it? Because once that gets accepted, it's going to just remove the language from this bill.
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody else have any questions? Senator Lipner?
Motion to approve this amendment.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this amendment is approved by general consent. Chair Barilla.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to. That motion will not be seen. Senator Gaudio. Chair Gaudio.
So I am quite concerned with this bill as a whole. Large chunks of being Title VI were being changed, yet the ENA chair during questioning was not able to explain why some of these changes were made. And the supervisor of elections and assistant supervisor are constantly being deferred to. I find this very concerning and suggest that this bill was primarily written by the Election Commission and not thoroughly reviewed by the ENA committee and the senators that are a part of it. And so unless other ENA committee members can chip in, perhaps to explain some of this, I can't in good faith vote in favor of this legislation.
Senator Matthews.
Hi, I would just like to provide some context. So this bill is presented us by the Election Commission because it's the statutes that concern them. ENA reviewed it. I'm sure Chair Chow could provide the minutes if needed. And we did review it. We did question them on multiple different aspects. So this was thoroughly reviewed by ENA.
Anybody else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Lipner and then Chair Chow.
Motion to see my amendment as a technical. I'm just changing the capitalization for the definition to match formatting.
Yes, that'll be seen as a technical. Chair Chow.
Yeah, so I'll be completely honest. I came into the Senate session expecting that because this is specifically in pertaining to their statutes and like how this would impact them, the Election Commission would be able to speak in, because once again, they were the ones that introduced this bill to us. We did revise it as a committee, like Senator Matthews has said, and as once again, a committee, we did agree and vote on these specific things. And I do apologize that I was not able to retain all the information in terms of the speech and the questioning. However, once again, in terms of that, because they were once again the ones who presented this bill, I had the expectation that I would be able to defer them to questions because it's specifically pertaining to them and how they would be impacted.
Any other pieces of debate on this bill? Chair Barilla and then Senator Lipner.
Move to vote.
And a motion to vote. And a second. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on the bill as a whole. With a vote count of 32 to 8-3, Internal Bill 5717 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5718, updates to Title 8, handling overages. Chair Rose, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so the reason for this bill is that there were some allocations that the student ended up overspending. So sometimes, like if a student or an RSO requests an allocation from FAO or CRT, and the price of the items goes up to like a bit over what FAO allocated or CRT allocated. Sometimes the business office will say, okay, we'll still pay for it in its entirety, even though that is above the amount was allocated. But they want the student to pay them back. But there's currently nothing in statutes that says like if you're in debt, you can't request more funding. So that's basically all this is doing. It's just saying if you're in debt to the business office, you're not eligible to receive funding until it's resolved. Originally, I wanted to put this in Appendix C, and like call it fiscal probation, but I think this should be a permanent blockage of further funding until you get the debt resolved, whereas fiscal probation would have been like a 1-year thing, so that we just put it in the eligibility section.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning on this bill. Is there any questioning? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Senator Lipner, Chair Gaudio.
Yeah, let's not give people who are in debt more money.
All right, Chair Gaudio.
I actually had a question I would have liked to have directed.
Okay.
May I? Thank you. So the RSOs or individuals in debt to the ANSF business office shall not be eligible to receive funding until the debt is resolved. So if an individual that is in debt is part of an RSO that gets money from the ANSF business office, would that individual still be able to receive funding through that RSO?
Yes, I think, because it's like a separate entity. Like the RSO is its own thing, and then the individual is their own thing.
Any other questions? Vice Chair Wanjin?
Did we move back to questioning or are we debate still?
Oh, I meant debate.
Okay. I feel like technically the business office could use this line to say that if somebody is in debt, we can't give them money through an RSO. Like if the business office just looked at it, like if the business office knows we're not supposed to be funding people that way. I don't know if they're that particular, but they could use this to tell an individual they couldn't get funding through an RSO, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Senator Lipner.
I could definitely see Vice Chair Wanjan's approach to this. And honestly, I don't mind if individuals who are in debt don't get funding from an RSO as a result of this. I think that makes complete sense to me, and I'll be voting in favor regardless.
All right. Any other pieces of debate? Chair Varela,
May I retain?
you may.
Awesome. Yeah. In ROS, we definitely see individuals that overspend, and then, they are then in debt to the business office. And like Lipner said, it's, fiscally irresponsible to give individuals already in debt more money. So this is a pretty easy vote for. And with that, motion to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now on voting procedures. All right. We are going to revote, so we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 41 to 0 to 1, Internal Bill 5718 passes second reading. Next, we have Resolution 5709, updates to Senate Rule 8, absence policy revisions. Chair Gaudio, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I yield the floor to Senator Matthews.
Okay, Senator Matthews.
Hi, everyone. This resolution was created by the LJR committee to update absent policies to fit this session. This will work to clarify the gray areas in the absence policy, as well as laying out the absent process for those who exceed 2 unexcused absences. So there's 3 main sections that we've changed. I'm going to outline them for you guys. So in section 806, deemed meeting absences, when looking over this policy, Chair Gaudio spoke with ELA Reed about the section pertaining to her position. The deadline was shortened because a long deadline isn't necessary, and it ensures senators have their absences resolved quickly because this is one of their statutory duties. The duty of the ELA expunging an absence should only be done in emergencies, as well as these adjustments to this section will aid in absence excusals for deemed meetings and in these emergencies with this new timeline. The next section is 807, the excusal policy. This adjusts the timeline for senator absences. This will allow the Senate Executive Committee the decision on waiving this timeline. This can be done for emergencies, and when senators are newly appointed, they often do not know about the absence of policy until their orientation with pro tem to meet. The last section with changes is 810, exceeding maximum allowed absences. This lays out a clear policy for absence petitions and dismissals from Senate. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this resolution? Seeking none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this resolution? Seeing none, we are now in a period of voting. All right, with a vote count of 40 to 0 to 0, Resolution 5709 passes second reading. Next, we have Proclamation 5713, proclamation honoring the founding of the United States Marine Corps. Chair Rickett is not present. They currently don't have a vice chair. Chair Chow.
Is it possible to make a motion to remand Internal Bill 5717 back to the E&A committee?
There's been a motion to remand Internal Bill 5717 back to the E&A committee. and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, Internal Bill 5717 is hereby remanded to the ENA committee. Chair Rickett is not here. They currently don't have a vice chair. Senator Lipner.
Yeah, I'll happily take this on if I may.
Okay, you may.
Alrighty, so this proclamation is created in celebration of the United States Marine Corps celebration, similarly to the Navy proclamation, which I passed earlier this month. This celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Navy, which was created as a second counterpart to the Navy. For the Marines, which was created as a counterpart for the Navy, specifically for landing forces in battle. From that day forward, the Marine Corps has established its proud motto, Semper Fidelis, which means always faithful, and they have been in battles across the United States and world. There are many Marine Corps veterans here on campus, and this proclamation serves to recognize and support their educational growth and, in general, support the armed forces in total.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this proclamation? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Barilla?
Motion to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Chair Barilla's amendment. And a second. Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. We saw a rule earlier this year that would require any use of AI on any sort of measure to be disclosed within that measure. And I have strong reason to believe that AI was used in at least part of this resolution. My first suspicions came from the large use of M dashes in this measure. An M dash, for those of you who don't know, is that little line you see in the middle of a sentence, kind of create like a punctuation, create emphasis. That's something that AI is very known to use a lot. And is pretty uncommon in normal English writing, especially in something like this, like a legislative measure. Not very common. So that was like, okay, that's a bit weird, but let me just look at it and make sure it's all okay. I expected it was just, maybe the senators loved M dashes. So then I put it into a AI detector. I actually put it into like 3 or 4 of them just to make sure, and all of them came back to me that it was most likely generated by AI. But even just that isn't quite enough because AI detectors can be faulty, and like an M dashes are part of the English language. You are allowed to use them without being accused of it being AI. So then I asked ChatGPT a prompt, something like I have it right here actually. Write me a proclamation celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps, and I got a result that was very similar to this, with even some lines being like direct copies. Like it was pretty exact. So that leads me to believe that AI was at least used to generate some of these sentences or used as a reference. So that's obviously okay as long as it's disclosed. So I just wanted to add a disclosure so the proclamation wouldn't cause any sort of disciplinary issues with the senator. Just because, if you want to use AI, fine, but you have to disclose that.
Right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? I'll go Senator Oriella, ILA Rudy, and then Senator Lipner.
Did the individual who wrote this proclamation, Senator Rickett, tell you he used AI?
He did not tell me. I do know in SBA he was questioned about it, and he denied use of AI.
All right, ILA Rudy.
Do you think we should postpone seeing the entirety of the bill until the author is present just to get his opinion on this amendment?
I mean, I have no opinion on that. That'll be the Senate's choice.
All right, Senator Lipner.
I could be incorrect, but I believe the bill that we passed requiring this whereas clause also required a explanation of use. Do you have that explanation of use that would go along with this statement?
The explanation of use would just be creating artificial intelligence to create substantive text contained within the whereas clauses.
Are there any other questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this amendment? Vice Chair Wanjin.
I'm not comfortable adding this amendment without the author here to say his piece, just in case somehow this wasn't written with AI, despite all the red flags. So I would personally really like to postpone this legislation.
Is that a motion?
No, because I would like to hear other people's opinions.
Okay. Senator Green.
I concur with the with the statement from Vice Chair Wanjin. I think since that previous question was already denied during when he was asked during the SBA committee, or during the SBA committee's meeting on this bill, I think it would be inappropriate to add that amendment to the bill without the author present to be questioned by the Senate.
All right. D. Capinos.
Seeing that this wouldn't go into effect until November 10th, which is after our next regularly scheduled Senate meeting, I motion to postpone this until the next regularly scheduled Senate meeting.
There's been a motion to postpone this proclamation until the next regularly scheduled Senate meeting, and a second. Any objections? Okay. Well, we are back into the objection procedure. So the objector, you have 2 minutes to present, and then the objectee.
Yeah, I do think that this proclamation is important, despite the fact that it may or may not be written with AI. It is important to recognize the Marine Corps, and I believe there is some kind of follow through that will be used in regards to this. So, yeah.
D. Capinos.
I don't disagree that this proclamation is important in honoring the Marine Corps. What I don't feel comfortable with is not being able to accurately represent how this was created, especially if the author is not here and if there was conflicting answers for what Chair Viola got and what Senator Rickett had said previously. So because of the lack of good faith in saying that we don't exactly know how this legislation was created, I think that it's fair for other people to see this and to know based off of this proceedings. But I do not disagree in the importance of this proclamation. I just think that it would be more practical to have it in the next Senate meeting, just so that we can get that clarification.
Okay, we are now in a period
May I
of debate.
reclaim? May I reclaim my time?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. I understand the sentiment of wanting to understand where this comes from, but the bill's author did answer in SBA the answer to this. And so if we want to respect that individual's response, and then if we want to further go into some form of disciplinary action, I believe we should take those measures as opposed to acting untowardly based on the passing of this bill.
Okay. We are now in a period of debate. Does anybody have any debate? Ailey Rudy? Okay. Vice Chair Wanjin?
May I direct a question to the objector?
You may.
Is there a reason this needs to be passed tonight that you know of? Like, is the action that you are saying that's going to be taken with this happening before our next Senate meeting?
I can't speak to certainty. However, I just am uncertain with how long signatures have been taking in the past that I wouldn't want to extend that timeline any more than it already has been.
Chair Viola?
Yeah, I'm kind of the opinion that, of course the senator has already denied it. So I'm honestly fine with, maybe taking the amendment off, but that would open up the senator to disciplinary action for something I do think is clearly and obviously artificial intelligence. That is my own assertion. I'm pretty well versed in kind of what is and not and what isn't AI. This kind of fits all the justifications to be AI. Is I think definitely meets that clear and obvious benchmark that we set in rules. So I'm not personally comfortable with subjecting the senator to that. So I'll like the amendment to, just so we can at least see and talk about it. Especially because as Senator Lippner said, the anniversary for this proclamation is coming up soon. And we do have, a whole signature process that gets done. So I just think if we're going to talk about the amendment, we should just do that tonight so we can get this proclamation signed and passed, or passed and signed.
Pro Tem Hamid?
When it comes to signatures, we could always ask the student body president to expedite her signature, and I know the Senate president would also expedite hers if asked to.
Yes. Senator Green?
Just a procedural question. Let's say if it's found that our colleague did lie about using AI, would they not already face disciplinary action for lying to committee or lying in committee when this was seen on first reading?
That is completely up to the committee's discretion. Are there any other pieces of debate? Again, we are on debate on whether or not we are going to postpone seeing this proclamation. Chair Gaudio.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. and a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Again, to reiterate, against is, hold on, how do I frame this? Okay, so if you're voting for the objection. If you're voting against, you're voting with the original motion. The original motion was to postpone the bill. The objection was objecting to postponing the bill. If you vote for, we're not postponing the bill. With a vote count of 9 to 31 to 1, this proclamation is hereby postponed until the next regularly scheduled Senate meeting. Okay. Where art thou? Okay, Senate Forum, D. Serpinos.
I just wanted to remind everyone that is planning on going to beach day this Sunday, yes, to just stay a couple minutes and talk to me so I can get all of your contacts and make sure that I can get communication out about how we're going to do carpooling, who's going to go early, what time people are going, just all that. If you could just stay, it'll take 2 minutes. Thank you.
Chair Chow.
So I do apologize for my lack of proper responses when it comes to discussing bills 57, 16, and 17 because of my condition. However, I'm confused as E&A chair, specifically why Election Commission leadership, the ones who prompted and introduced these bills to the committee, are unable to directly speak on the changes that they wanted to implement. I was under the presumption that Election Commission leadership would be able to answer these questions simply because these changes directly impact them and they would know best on how it impacts them. And I acknowledge that once again, our committee does oversee Election Commission, but they still operate independently. We collaborate with them and they also have a seat on our committee. And even though they're not senators, they are the executors of the election process. They have their own processes. And I believe that we do need to respect their autonomy as a body and at least allow them the ability to speak on legislation that would impact them directly.
Okay, Senator Matthews.
So hi guys, I have two things really quickly, but I just wanted to remind you guys that our event is November 6th from 11 to 4. If you guys want to volunteer, please Teams message me or the chair. And if you guys just want to come, it'll be fun. We'll have a lot of different organizations tabling, so it'll be super fun. Okay, my second thing is just like a friendly reminder, or just kind of like, I don't know, if a bill or anything has been seen before a committee, I think we should just respect that they've analyzed it and we shouldn't question it. If you are questioning it, any chair will be able to provide you the minutes. I just think like questioning a committee if they've been able to analyze something fully is just not the nicest thing to hear as a committee member when we've taken a whole meeting to analyze said document.
Chair Gaudio.
So I mostly wanted to speak on that. While it is good to seek guidance from those who what we are writing will impact, we are senators. We are the ones responsible for writing the legislation, and we should be just as rigorous in our vetting of it as we are in writing of it, especially when an entire bill is drafted by someone outside of the Senate rather than being written by a senator or a committee with ideas from outside. It is really, really important to dissect that, to understand exactly what everything is doing, perhaps seeking further advice, such as from the AG or committee chairs familiar with the material, to really understand what's being done to avoid unintended consequences that may sneak through. We should be able to justify legislation, not essentially act as a mouthpiece by which other branches can funnel legislation through and then be allowed to speak during meetings, because at that point, there's just a senator that hasn't been elected. They have their own interests in mind, and their best interest is not necessarily the Senate or the student body's best interest.
Okay, Senator Wanjin.
On a completely different note, I've been asked by Volunteer UCF to invite all of SG, and I'm going to send an announcement in the general channel, but I wanted to mention it here, to Volunteer UCF's general body meeting happening next Wednesday. It's their second ever general body meeting. It'll be from 4 to 5:30 p.m. I should include the location because it's not in the union. It's in the Mathematical Sciences Building, room 360. But they'll be talking about all of their upcoming events. We'll be having Chantel Carter, the amazing Associate Director of the Office of Student Involvement, coming and speaking on, I don't remember what the topic is, but she's an amazing speaker and everything she talks about is incredible. So if you are available, we would really love to have you there. Please attend. And I linked the Night Connect. So if you want to RSVP, I know the volunteer UCF people are keeping a close eye on that RSVP list.
Right, Lipner?
Alrighty, two things from me. First off, I've been reached out to by an SGLCer, namely Caleb Berrios. I want to give him his full flowers because it's been an awesome idea, but he wants to start a health and wellness caucus. And so I'll be working with him to make that happen and would love to clue in anyone who's interested in that idea to join in with that. Secondly, I've been working with members of SG leadership across the board to hopefully organize a Jamaica drive to support the individuals who are currently on the island experiencing the fallout from the hurricane. So if anyone would like to help out with that, feel free to reach out to me. I've been trying to clue in as many people as possible, but obviously I don't know everyone's interests or background. So if you would like to get involved, please do reach out. Thank you.
Reed?
Thanks for letting me take photos.
Varela?
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to kind of, speak as kind of gap chair to the government shutdown happening. We all know what's happening. Just want to inform all of you that as we approach 30 days, it's been shut down. This is kind of the point where things start breaking more in our government. So I just wanted to promote safety and wellness with all of you and our constituents. I'm sure we all know people or have friends who utilize federal services like SNAP and food stamps, which might be running out / being canceled by November 1st. So it's very scary. I just want to, encourage all of you to console your friends, stay safe, maybe avoid things like flying, even though I'm flying tomorrow. So, wish me luck. But kind of avoid things that will traditionally utilize federal services and federal resources just until we get the shutdown resolved. Because again, as we get to this 30-day mark, things start running out. Like we're at this point where the government is going to be able to stop functioning in a safe and productive manner. So stay safe and check on your friends.
Lipner?
Hi again. Varela got on this topic, and I think I have to mention that it's more important now than ever to stay politically aware and engaged. I know it can be extremely draining and difficult with the onslaught of media, but I encourage you all to continue to seek out unbiased sources, news from both sides of the aisle, and just understand what's happening from every single angle.
Banesh?
And to that effect, I feel like we should all, it's a stressful time. I feel like we should all be supportive of one another and be there for each other. We're kind of like a little dysfunctional family almost. So be there for one another, be kind to your fellow senator, your fellow SG agent, and be there for your constituents as well. It can be really hard going through life, knowing that your government is kind of, so yeah, just be there for one another, be kind.
All right, Senate deliberation. Seeing none. Advisors report, Shane.
Just as an update, the assistant director position that will serve as the advisor for you all, a Judicial Branch and Election Commission, that position has actually posted now. It posted, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, will be open for about 2 weeks. And then myself and Amanda will review the applications and involve you all in the process as we start to narrow down and do the final interviews for that selection process. So I'm hopeful that we will have someone selected and hopefully starting sometime in December based on the timeline that we have. The other thing that I wanted to start to bring up, it is not too late to start planning for next semester. So for those of you that are responsible for chairing caucuses or chairing committees, I'm going to start talking to you about committee times for next semester and what that schedule is going to look like so we can start mapping it out, because with all the different meetings you all have, and between you all, the caucuses, the other branches and the Election Commission, it's quite a daunting task to try to find space for all that. So I'll be kind of starting to meet with you all to kind of figure out when you're hoping to have space so we can secure the space so you all have meeting times for it. But that's everything for me.
Alrighty. And then miscellaneous business, resignations. I hereby resign Senator Matthews from SBA. Appointments. I hereby appoint Chair Total Rescue to LJR and Senator Hagenbook to SBA. And Hey guys, this is our third longest Senate meeting. We have time for senator shout outs. Lipner, Casimiro, Total Rescue.
I had a question for the advisor, if that's all right.
Yes.
In regards to the assistant director position, can you explain a little bit about the hiring process and what requirements or experience you're expecting the applicants to have?
So as an assistant director, it's going to require a master's in 2 years of experience or a bachelor's in 4 or a high school degree in 8 years of experience. So some of the preferred qualifications, we're looking for someone who has experience in higher education, specifically advising student organizations. Familiarity with student government at a collegiate level would be preferred. It depends on what the candidate pool looks like and what we have there. But someone who has a strong passion and desire to support and work with students and help see student leaders excel.
And then follow up, if I may.
You may.
Do you expect to do any like headhunting for individuals, or do you expect those applicants to just come in naturally through job postings?
So there's been several job postings that have occurred from it. I've also actually put out a posting through a listserv that I am with the National Association of Campus Activities. So a lot of folks that work in the student government, student activities, student programming world already. And so I would say within the first day, we already have 18 applicants in there that we're reviewing. So hopefully we'll probably have somewhere around 100 to 160 applicants that we are going to be reviewing. So hopefully we'll get a strong, good candidate for you all.
And back to the shout outs. Casimiro.
Shout out ORS and SBA. We're gonna meet on Halloween. Any other committees meeting tomorrow?
No.
So I can shout you out. Oh, sorry then. I was gonna say if you want to wear like some bare minimum Halloween stuff, that would be fun. Last night I was Theodore from Alvin and Chipmunks. I just wore a sweater, a green sweater. So, also, what was I gonna say? I forgot. I'm so sorry, but I'm done. Wait. Oh yeah, I have an assignment due at 11:59. So let's get this over with.
Total Rescue.
I was gonna shout out Gabe, but like, what the heck? All right. Yeah, shout out SBA. We're not going any like sad costumes, guys. We're gonna be pulling up fully dressed tomorrow during committee, so pull up. And also shout out photographer Reed, you know, those fire flicks. And shout out Anna and the one and only Hospitality because their birthdays are on Sunday.
Abby.
Okay, so I have a couple. I want to shout out Chair Gaudio and Chair Chow. First of all, Chair Gaudio, thank you for helping with my speech today. I appreciate your support. And then Chair Chow, we've been doing so good with confirmations and ENA, so I'm so proud of ENA. Also, I want to shout out Senator Smith because you're doing so good in Women's Caucus. I see your work. Love you.
All right. Yay. Any other shout outs? Senator Green, Senator Lipner, D. Kapinos.
So shout out to Chair Luke and Pro Tem Hamid. I see great minds think alike because we're all wearing basically the exact same outfit.
Yeah, I was also going to shout out Veronica, happy birthday. Also to Anna. Additionally, big shout outs to all of Women's Caucus who will also be meeting tomorrow. It'll be early in the morning, so I'll be seeing you all there. Very excited for that. And I'll be bringing some treats, so look forward to that.
Okay. D. Kapinos.
I want to shout out the new senators or those that are here. I'm so glad that you have stayed this late. I know it's a long meeting, but we're excited to have you. So thank you for being part of the body. I would also like to shout out Senator Callis. It was his main idea for us to wear suits or being business professionals. So shout out him.
Great. ILA Rudy.
I was also going to shout out our new senators, including our new senator from today. Congratulations.
Chair Gaudio, Senator Banash, Senator Zibin.
LJR, you guys handled yourselves great yesterday. Matthews in particular, thank you for being the willing sacrifice to provide our policy revisions. Yeah, that's all from me.
Alrighty.
First of all, I want to say shout out to everybody that helped at Queer Market Day last week. Sorry that I wasn't at the last Senate meeting to say that, but I really appreciated it. It was so much fun. So thank you so much. Shout out Senator Lush because he picked up my little placard when I dropped it, and it was so much aura. So shout out to you, bro. Shout out to who else do I want to shout out? Shout out to Senator Leon, because we were the only people sitting at our table until Halima popped up like 20 minutes ago, and she's still not present or voting. So, poor Halima. And shout out to everybody dressing up for Halloween tomorrow. I'm finna stalk all y'all on Instagram and see what y'all wear, and comment heart eyes, heart eyes, heart eyes.
Okay. I'll be looking forward to it. Senator Zibin.
First, I wanted to shout out Allie, our newest senator. I'm very proud of you. Congratulations. I also want to shout out my grandpa. He didn't get his mention today, so it's very sad, but hopefully he'll get mentioned next week. Yeah.
Any other shout outs? Senator Lipner.
Yeah, I also wanted to shout out Maite. You've been in the office a lot in the past weeks, and I really appreciated it. So thank you.
Chibarilla.
Yeah, first I want to shout out my vice chair Paris for ICTC, always going above and beyond. She's really incredible, guys, for tabling and just being a vice chair and like doing work I assigned her is great. I also want to shout out GAP committee because I had a bit of a rant today, and like those who don't know, stressed out about the government not being open. In fact, that's not a good thing, and very, very, very stressed. So I'm glad GAP was there to like be like my band buddies. So thank you.
I also want to shout out Senator Zibin's grandpa, Grampy. I was really excited for him to be mentioned again, and it's really unfortunate that he couldn't. But next week, there will be an opportunity for Grampy to be mentioned. I just really want there to be a streak where Grampy is mentioned every single meeting. So this is it. Shout out to Grampy. Not my Grampy, but also shout out to everyone. You guys did great today.
Shout out to Owen for a good laugh in FAO. We got to see his Halloween costume. So I wonder if we could put that in the channel there.
Any other shout outs? Rose? I can't hear you. Thank you.
My apologies. Shout out for the 6-7 joke. I don't know if anyone recognized it, but yeah. Also, shout out to Maite and Shane for being lovely people and doing the hard work that you guys do. And shout out to Grampy.
Sherman and then Green.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out CRT, ENA, LJR, SBA, ORS, and GAP for not putting my Halloween costume on the projector in front of like 20 SGLCers.
Green.
Is Grampy the same grandpa who got a shout out during the Navy proclamation?
God,
or the
why are you
resolution?
why are you looking at me?
Oh guys, his name is Sheldon, also known as Shelly. Yeah.
Lipner.
Shout out Grampy Shelley, and then also shout out to ORS for being forgotten, but also being really important this meeting. So thank you guys.
Casimiro.
Shout out Women's Caucus for tomorrow, Halloween. Let's go. Also shout out Eric because he led me the suit and I look good, I think.
Okay. D, sir.
I want to shout out everyone who is going to be going at our debut Minecraft server this weekend. Very excited to see you all there. Again, it's going to be around 8 o'clock on Sunday, so get prepared to mine and craft.
Anybody else? I want to do my Chevrolet. Okay. Well, shout out to me and Gaudio for the amazing rehaul we did of Title IX last session, and now that censure process went amazingly. Y'all should have seen it last year. It was horrible. Shout out all of Senate Exec. I really appreciate every single one of you. I think we're really funny during Senate Exec, but we're also really serious. We're like nonchalant and cool like that. And nobody laughed. I'm not funny anymore. Thanks, Gabe. Shout out to you. Shout out Pro Temp Hamid. Chair Hernandez.
We didn't do the Pro Temp fit ranking.
Oh. Yes, it's not. You're correct. So I guess this is a good time to say we did get a few negative feedbacks about the drip down. So what we will find another thing for Jason to do, but from here on out, if you wish to shout out someone's outfit, do it during Senator shoutouts. Matthews?
I want to shout out Gabe's outfit because he said he thinks he looks good. No, Gabe, you look good. Be nice to yourself.
Paul?
Shout out Jimmy Capinos. That tie is fantastic.
Lipner?
Okay, I'm just gonna go around the room and compliment everyone's outfits because I think everyone's really dressed up today.
Well,
because of
maybe
the
not
photos.
everyone. I do. think
Fine,
I'm gonna go
I'll
home.
pick like 10 real quick. JC, I love your shirt. I think it's really cute. Brenda, I think your shirt's also really cute. Veronica Perez, I think your shirt's also really cute. Ali, I think your shirt is also really cute. Wanjan, I think your shirt is also really cute. I'm so sorry I'm forgetting your last name, but your Makadia, your sweater is also really cute. I think everyone in the suit is really, really dressed up. I think that's awesome. I think Orquella, your shirt is also really cute, and I think that's 10. So yeah.
Yep, that was more like 6, but great job. 6 or 7. Chair Gaudio.
I move to adjourn pending final roll call.
There's been a motion to adjourn this meeting pending final roll call and a second. Are there any objections? Hearing none. Chair Gaudio, you have the floor. And be quiet while you're packing up, guys.
Luke Ball.
Present.
Anna Reed.
Present.
Olivia Smith.
Present.
Hagen, how do I pronounce your last name? Higgenbuch.
Present.
All right. Casemiro.
Present.
Callis.
Present.
Ariza.
Present.
Cabanos.
Present.
Lynn. Pison. Satvika. Chow.
Present.
Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danae Smith.
Present.
Ali.
Present.
D.
Present.
Malik. Orduela.
Present.
Hamid.
Present.
Kaufman.
Present.
Lich.
Present.
Metellus.
Present.
McNulty. Rocasa.
Present.
Rose.
Present.
Rudy.
Present.
Trey Hernandez. El Harak. Terry Fawcett. Riggett. I am here. Chauhan. Escobar.
Present.
Makadia.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Wanjan.
Present.
Hassanin.
Present.
Phillips.
Present.
Green.
Present.
Wynn.
Present.
Bonaventure. Perez.
Present.
Alcuda.
Present.
Benesh.
Present.
Candeloro. Courts.
Present.
Jones. Leon.
Present.
Matthews.
Present.
McRae.
Present.
Nurse Medevra. Renda.
Present.
Connolly.
Present.
Simmons.
Present.
Teodorescu.
Present.
Varela.
Present.
Zivin.
Present.
Lipner.
Present.
46 out of 59.
All right, I hereby adjourn this meeting at 10:15 p.m. Get home safe. Have a safe Halloween weekend, guys.
Remember, if you want to go to Beach Day, can you just come talk to me real quick?